Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate all of you tuning in as we get into time travel tonight. Author, researcher, television star, and a man with a fantastic hairdo, Mike Ricksecker, will join us. The Ghostorian is back, and it's been way too long since we've had him here. So we're bringing him back. And we got Dirty Fylth here as well, as he's got another cartoon ready to go for us tonight. But first, we got to say hello to each and every one of you. How y'all doing out there? Starting with race fan in the gold medal position, Michael Morris, our attorney at large, with the silver. Roy Boy, nice bronze medal tonight, my man. Nice bronze medal as we continue on with our roll call. Raymond L., Kevin, Brown Dwarf, Chris 716. Good to see you all. Laura Lobbs, Lisa C., D. Cohen, D. Cypher. Sweet Robbie G is here from the Social Dig. Sweet Robbie G will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. Hey, Human Carl, how you doing? A great veteran of the United States Air Force. Thank you for your service, Human Carl, and every veteran out there listening in. Alien Universe, how you doing? D. Cypher, Samantha Hazelwood Gray, Mama Susan, Gansfeld, Free Your Mind, how y'all doing? Sandra Kincaid, Jenny White Bear, we love you, my dear. Hope you're having a good night. And who else is here? We got Kurt M. Lee the Bee, thank you for joining us. Millennium, my man. Just another guy named Harry. And who else is here? SJ, it's been a while. Good to have you back. Dennis Zuniga, another great veteran. Thank you for your service, Dennis. Good to have you back in the chat room. Paramarv, thank you for kicking off the super chat tonight. Very much appreciate earning your trust and love, my man. Thank you so much for your support. W. David Page, good to have you here. Hi, Penny Van. And W. Decker, good to see you. And who else is here? Luscious Jules just snuck in. Thank you, Luscious Jules. Jessica Pixie Lara, how are you, my dear? Chillgasm, Trot Dog, Nick Adkins, good to have you all here. Dutch Hank, Red Sox Jenna. Oh, Red Sox Jenna. Jenna, I'm a Yankee fan. Are we going to get along? Are we going to get along? I know my Yankees are shit this year. I don't get it, but what do you do? Lasso, welcome to SOR chat. And let's see here. Who else do we have? La 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 la. Bright. Good to see you. Guy Calgary, Wes H. And oh, look at W. Decker. Thank you, my man, for that great super chat. Very much appreciate the love and support every night, man. Thank you so much. Gyro, how are you? Good to see you. And la 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 la, Bright. Thank you for that wonderful super chat. Very much appreciate you. La 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 la, Bright. And Science Melinda, Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived, which means we can officially start this show. Thomas Rock, Ozzy, Nancy Thames. Good to see you all. Pissing me off, Evan Walters. And who else do we have here? Scrolling on down. Christopher, how are you? Good to see you. There's Toothbrush and Jerry Carter. And who else do we have? Vanessa, thank you for coming on in. And Vash the Impaler. Yep. Hold on. Let's get the radio side started so that way we could get Bill WD-40 into the chat room to lube us up for tonight's show. Mama Catherine, mwah, this one's for you, my babe. And I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful night, Mama Catherine. And Android Paranormal, good to see you. Debster, thank you for the lovely super chat. Very much appreciate your nightly love and support of this show. Thank you so, so much. And who else is here? Let's see. Electric Greg Tar over on Twitch. How are you? Thank you for joining us. Pammy Smith and Gizmo. How are you? Are we going to have enough time? James Friday the 13th, Word Oneist. Glenn John McEnroe. He's the pride of Wimbledon. And Science Melinda. We are caught up. Horns up, everybody. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by CHIVE Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting CHIVE Charities today. You can find them on our website. Power show of weirdness tonight. Time travel is the talk. Author, researcher Mike Ricksecker joins us once again to talk about this amazing phenomena that we call time travel. Then in hour number 3, we got Steve Stockton from Among the Missing with another creepy story. It is Dave 101 night. Shane Michael Crisp will have the Crypted report, and the weird news of the week comes in as well. Researcher Mike Ricksecker is the author of the Amazon bestsellers A Walk in the Shadows, A Complete Guide to Shadow People, and Alaska's Mysterious Triangle, The Esoteric Travels Through Time, and several historic paranormal books. He has appeared on multiple television shows and programs, including History's Channel's Ancient Aliens and The Unexplained, Travel Channel's The Alaska Triangle, Discovery Plus, Fright Club, Animal Planet's The Haunted, multiple series on Gaia, and many more. He's got a new book out, though. This is the one that excites me. Not that his other books don't, but I love time travel. Love it. We don't talk about it enough. And all of a sudden, there comes Mike right around the corner. Zing! Another great book, Travels Through Time, Inside the Fourth Dimension, Time Travel, and Stacked Time Theory, Connecting the Universe, which just came out a couple of days ago. You're going to want to add it to your library. It's on Amazon right now. Mike Ricksecker, it is always a pleasure to have you on Spaced Out Radio, my longtime friend. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too, Dave. It has been a long time. Man, we've known each other a long time, and I'm impressed with how your following has really grown. You're doing the shout outs there, and I'm like, hey, we're gonna spend the whole show doing this. But you asked a question during your shout outs, and I can answer that for you. So you had asked Red Sox Jenna if you're going to get along because you're a Yankees fan. My friend, you have to get along with her because that's my fiance.
Ooh, I love you. Love you, Jenna. There's some kisses from Canada for you. All right. Yes. All right. Well, I'll grind my teeth on that. I won't hold the grudge. Okay. But that is
good
wonderful.
deal.
And I see all of your pictures, you two traveling around all over the place, discussing the paranormal. Mike, a lot of people have not been able to make a career in this. Money is tight. You have to always be on the grind. How have you been able to travel from the corporate world from a number of years ago into doing what you love to do, which is write, which is put out great books. Your research is phenomenal. You've been on numerous television shows for that great hair and that manly look that you have. You know, I mean, how have you been able to do it when so many others out there have not?
I mean, it's just a passion, and it's just something that you know you work hard at. You keep pushing every single day. You know, it's one of those. People ask me how I get so much done, and it's like, well, I tell them that I don't sleep very much, and that here's the thing is when it is your passion, when it's something you love, it's not really work. Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of work involved, of course, because not only am I writing, there's marketing, promotion, especially like a week like this, a lot of flying around and traveling. But it's always just keep on pushing forward. Like I'm a big Rocky fan, and I loved um, in Rocky Balboa, which was the sixth movie, where he says, "It's not how hard you hit, it's how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward." There's a lot of people that start down this path and they meet a roadblock or two, and they either stop or fizzle out or decide, "Oh, I'm just going to do this on the back burner." But you have to keep pushing forward and doing. And so I encourage anybody, just keep it up. Keep going. You have an idea, you have a dream, you have something. Keep following it. Keep pushing with your passion.
And I think that's great advice. I mean, I know for me, like my daytime boss, because I have two jobs. I got my daytime job that really pays my bills, and then I have this job. And people are all like, "Dude, aren't you tired? Aren't you worn out?" Yeah, I am. But you know what? I'm going to be up until 1 o'clock in the morning every night, anyways. So I might as well be doing something that I love in
Yep.
trying
Yeah.
to figure out these mysteries. And my skill isn't writing a book, or I'm not a researcher, but I love the experience, man. And it's a passion. It's an addiction almost. Would you say you're addicted to these topics?
Yeah, addicted, obsession. Yes, absolutely. And but it's if you can do something positive with your obsession, then that will better the world. The the world didn't become the way it is. We don't have things like, cell phones in our pockets, cars that we're driving, and the lights that we have right now because people were mediocre. They were passionately obsessed about whatever it was, and now we have all these wonderful things around us that we can benefit from. So, um, you know, passion, obsession, addiction, whatever that, um, that's what makes the world go round, really.
You have always been known as the ghostorian and a beautiful storyteller. You really do a great job, and I mean this complimentary, of romanticizing the love that you have for the paranormal. But you have also, over the last couple of years, you have really delved into other subjects, whether it's UFOs and aliens, whether it's mysteries like the Alaskan Triangle, and now into time travel. I mean, why do you keep shifting your focus? Is it just another addition to the curiosity, or do you believe there's more to the phenomena than what we really know?
Well, it's not really so much that I'm shifting my focus. I mean, it's all connected, right? So it's all related, all connected somehow, some way, shape, or form. And so it's exploring those other areas of this phenomenon. So time travel itself has always been an interest of mine. When I was a kid, I loved the movie Somewhere in Time with Christopher Reeve and Jane Seymour. It's one of my all-time favorite movies. So that was something that was always with me, was always in the back of my mind. I tried doing the same thing. I don't know how familiar you might be with the movie, but where he basically wills himself back into the year 1912 to meet this woman. And that was something as a kid that I actually tried to do. And I start off the book, Travels Through Time, with that story. So that's always been there. It's just I hadn't got around to writing the book on that topic until now. And really, what it was, I was writing one larger book. called Connecting the Universe. And earlier this year, in this book had like a lot of different subjects. So I'm trying to connect them all together.
Yeah.
But earlier this year, when I was out in Egypt, it hit me that connecting the universe isn't one massive book with all these different topics. It's an entire book series. And I decided to go with the material that I had started writing on time travel first because it really gives us a base to move forward. Because it's not just about time travel, it's about the nature of time, the nature of the universe, and how that works. So it gives us a base to start with to move into the other subjects.
Time travel has always been a difficult subject for the radio side and many other sides to it because anybody could claim they're a time traveler. I mean, look on TikTok right now. I mean, TikTok has been horrible for these so-called time travelers and their claims of things that are going to happen. But if we go back in time 30 years, we hear stories of John Teeter and many others coming out, whether it's secret space program or whether and doing 20 in backs or whether it's, other time travelers who've, claimed to have video evidence that they've put on YouTube of their experiences of traveling through wormholes and other sorts. I mean, how do we believe this topic? Because for so many of us, this is the one we want to believe. You
Yeah.
know, we want to, and trust me, I am I am on team. There are time travelers already walking on our timeline right now. I mean, where do you stand on this topic overall?
Yeah, I mean, I do believe there are some time travelers amongst us. I do not believe they're on TikTok, but I believe there are some amongst us. Yeah, it's a fascinating topic. It's something we do want to happen. It's we see that in our science fiction all the time, and it fascinates us. We love the stories that it provides. We like these the paradoxes within those stories and what have you. But it's more than just a storytelling gimmick. This is something that can really happen. I believe that many of us, especially in this community where we're talking paranormal, supernatural, what have you, I believe we've already seen that, and we just don't understand what it is that we're looking at when we start getting into the idea of time slips and things like that. Some of these ghosts, spirits, apparitions, shadows, that sort of thing. We're actually getting sometimes, not every single case, but some of these cases are ones in which we are seeing other moments in time. And that, in and of itself, is a type of time travel, even though maybe not our entire body is going to that moment. We're getting a glimpse of it. So there is some connection there.
Have you? Yeah, I'll just throw it out there. Have you met a time traveler?
It's possible. Really, my first, and we've talked about it before on this show. My first shadow person experience, where I had the tall, dark figure, appear in the corner of my room when I was about 8 years old, physically interacted with me and all that. A couple years ago, I had a hypnotic regression. One of the things that I wanted to find out was what really happened in that moment. And the woman that I was working with, she trained under Dolores Cannon, and she's very, very good, Ariana Corsino. And she actually connected with this being, with this entity, to find out what exactly, who exactly, or what exactly it was and why it was there. And what was interesting, because I'm under hypnosis at the time, I actually got to see the entire scene play out from the perspective of the shadow. So it's
No.
like, I'm the shadow, right? Not me personally, but like I have the
Yeah.
viewpoint from the shadow, and I'm looking down on my little 8-year-old body, which was bizarre. Um, and what we discovered from this interaction and communicating with this being was that, it wasn't there to do me any harm, for one. I didn't even realize at first that I could see it, until I started reacting to it. And the whole physical interaction, what it was doing was trying to put me into a self hug, kind of pat me, being like, "Okay, you're okay," and then get out of there because it figured out that it was scaring me and didn't want to anymore. Um, but what we had found out was it was there basically on a fact-finding mission. It was there to study humanity. And one of the questions that she asked was, so are you from another dimension? And the response was, you might call it another dimension, but really it's another space. So, and I found that really fascinating that, okay, there's something here that, even with our science today and how we've kind of, categorized all these different dimensions. And in my book, I go into, describing the different dimensions, that there's still some understanding there that we don't really have as to how all of that works. But being from another space or another dimension, an interdimensional type being, this is somebody that was outside the parameters of time. So in that sense there, yes, I did have some interaction with a type of time traveler.
So when you think or you talk of time travel, most of us think of people from, say, 3026 or 2525 or 5882 coming back in time to see what life is all about here. And and of course, thank you to Back to the Future. You don't want to do anything to wreck the space-time continuum, that leads, and we all deserve a DeLorean for that one. But I mean, you're talking about something more advanced than that, whether it's into spiritual realms, whether it's into different locations that are running parallel to ours, almost like parallel universes, as well as those people coming back.
Yeah, there's a lot of different things we need to take into consideration here. You mentioned parallel universes. Well, science recently here has shown us that we have a parallel universe running in reverse time from the experiments down there in Antarctica with the Anita Project and the Ice Cube Project. And it's, peer-reviewed paper. It's been published. So that's fascinating in and of itself. But yeah, when it comes to time travel, uh, science fiction has basically shown us, okay, it's going to be a DeLorean and a flux capacitor or some sort of machine, that sort of thing. Or theoretical physicists are like, well, you get next to a black hole and it bends space and time, and you can time travel that way. It's like, well, we're not getting near a black hole anytime soon, right? But what I think time travel is really going to be is less about machinery and more about ourselves. So one of the things that I introduce here within the book, and it's something that I've been talking about for years, but I've never formally introduced it, like on my shows and on my YouTube channel. I've talked about it many times, and something I call stacked time theory. And it's the idea that every moment that has happened, is happening, and will happen. Take like where you're sitting right now. All of those moments in what we call time, which time is just a human construct to kind of describe our reality and use as a tool. All those moments are stacked up on top of each other like a stack of photographs.
Hmm.
And there are occasions in which two of those moments in the stack will resonate at the same frequency. Because everything's frequency, resonance, vibration. Two of those moments will resonate at the same frequency and we'll get a glimpse of them. And that's when we have something like a time slip or what have you. What I think real time travel will be is somebody who figures out how to consciously adjust their vibration that they're on. They'll be able to consciously work with their own personal resonance and be able to move that vibration to whatever the frequency or vibration is of another point in time and be able to essentially will their consciousness to that moment.
Okay, so that is very, very powerful to the mind. I'm just trying to picture how that would work because in my mind, I'll give you a great example. One of our weekend hosts, Jessica Jones, we call her the Crypted Huntress
Mhm.
around here. Her Crypted team, led by Trey Hudson down in, I believe it was Georgia or Oklahoma, somewhere in the South
Georgia.
there. Yeah.
Yeah,
They,
I'm good. I'm good friends with Trey. Yeah,
okay. So, the, uh, the portal
the
story,
meadow. Yeah,
the
yeah.
meadow. I mean, that story for people who don't haven't heard it before, they were investigating in this meadow and they could see it on camera, this square open up. And two of his investigators went to where that square was, and they were able to look in, and it was desolate. It was like a parched piece of land on the other side. And on this side, there are in trees, there's grass, there's people around, and but they were able to look in, and for a minute there, they actually disappeared into this portal. I mean, when
Mhm.
you hear something along those lines with Trey Hudson, how does this pertain to your theory?
Yeah, so that is, kind of really a rip in space time, or like you said, a portal, uh, potentially Stargate sort of thing. And so you're either getting a glimpse of somewhere else in the cosmos. If we're talking about this is the opening of some sort of wormhole, like Einstein-Rosen bridge. So it's you're either getting a glimpse of somewhere else in the cosmos, or it did open a doorway to another point in time. You're actually seeing another moment in that stack that could have been that location, who knows, a million years ago, a million years into the future. The landscape changes a lot over that amount of time. So that could very well be something like that. I've seen, yeah, I wasn't there to witness it myself, but there's a paranormal investigative team I worked with many years ago in Oklahoma, and we were at this particular cemetery, and there's a photo was taken. It's just a headstone that was kind of a bunch of bushes and things that kind of overgrown it. You can see the headstone down there, and somebody had taken a photograph of it. And what was really interesting was that in the middle of the photograph there was this like long bar of light, and then stretching out to the right hand side of the photograph, was kind of like these other filaments top and bottom. It almost made like a window with this electricity around it, and through that little window, you could see a sitting room beyond. And it's like, okay, this is really bizarre. So, was there some sort of portal that only showed up in the photograph? You couldn't see it with your eyes. So was it some sort of portal? Was it a glimpse into another point in time? Now, that had only ever been a cemetery. And before that, it was just a field, right? So
Mhm.
was this a glimpse to the future? Of maybe at some point in time the cemetery is gone, somebody builds a house there or whatever, who knows, um and that's what the future is for that location. That we could speculate all day on that.
I have so many questions to ask you because, in my own experiences that I have had, it's made me wonder whether or not there are a number of Daves living on different timelines at the exact same time. And I want to get into that with you deeply, but we only
Sure.
got about a minute left before we have to take break here. Mike Ricksecker is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Mike, for you, I got to ask, how much fun was it researching this book? I mean, I could see the difficulties, but I could see the
Yeah.
satisfaction in it.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a lot of fun. So this is what I've been saying about it. There's science in it, but it's not too sciencey. There's metaphysics in it, but it's not too metaphysical. A lot of anecdotal stories. What I liked, because when we get into conversations about time slips, there's stories in there about doppelgangers, all kinds of different things. And you find stories like that on the internet all the time, right? And it's like you have 500 sites that are all copy and pasting each other, and it's like, okay, let me actually dive into the real history of these particular stories. And so I was going back to books from like the 1850s and things like this to find the original stories where these came from. It's like, oh, there's a lot more going on here. And so that was fun for me to dive into the original text and the source material of where some of these stories came from.
Mike Ricksecker, his latest book on Amazon, travels through time inside the fourth dimension, time travel, and stack time theory connecting the universe. On sale now. Great for your library from one of the best in the business, Mike Ricksecker. We return with Time Travel Talk right after this. All right, we are clear.
All right.
We are clear. That was a fun start, man.
Absolutely. Yeah. Good way to start it off.
Yeah. So where's home now for you?
Cleveland, Ohio.
Right on.
Yep. Has been for a little while. I've bounced back and forth a number of different places over the years.
Sorry, went down the wrong pipe.
Uh-oh.
I'll just choke to death on my own show here. Hold on.
Sorry, Dave. I got you covered.
Thanks there, Fylth. That's why Dirty Fylth comes on in. Holy cow.
That's right.
I knew the minute I sipped it. It's like, really? Really? Yeah, I won't die. I won't die. Not yet. God damn. Oh, well. Sorry about that, Mike.
You're all good.
I apparently, at 50 years old, need to teach myself how to drink water again.
Yeah. So one of those skills you sometimes lose.
Yeah, right. Right. Joe Ferreira in Brazil, how are you? Jerry Carter, good to see you. And Jenna, we are only on break for our radio stations. Susie believes I need mouth to mouth. Yeah. And who else is here? Thank you again, W. Deca.
Yeah, actually, that would probably really up your views right there if you made a dramatic exit.
Probably. My goodness. Yeah.
My drawing would sell for a lot too.
Yep. Mike's book would take off. Thanks, Dave,
Yes,
for
it
not
would.
dying. Appreciate that. All right, let's think and see if I can do it this time properly.
Baby
Holy
sips.
cow, that one worked. That one worked. There we go.
It can be taught.
Apparently. Yep.
It's interesting painting we have going on here so far.
Yeah, let's take a look at Fylth here. Let's see what he's got here. What are you doing
We got
there, Fylth?
the two commanders of the space brogs, Whiskey and Blob, and they're getting cut off from the milk at the space bar because they've had too much.
Oh, we're back to the space bar, eh?
Well, that's where the cats go after they go on missions, vomiting hairballs into space.
This is true. This is very true. Very true. It's my favorite color that you use right there, Fylth.
That's the yellow green.
Chartreuse?
Yeah, it says right there, yellow green. I can't really see it, sorry. Oh, there's my Canadian coming out.
Hello, Coach Jones. How are you? Welcome to our chat room. Let's throw his comment right there. And yeah, hope you enjoyed watching me almost choke to death. Hi, Marley. How are you?
You start laughing, you start choking again.
I'm gonna have to edit that out of the show, but yeah. Chartreuse is actually a Mandela effect, and because our generation believes it's green, but the older generation actually believes that it was like a burgundy rusty red.
Honestly, that's what I remember.
Yeah. I only know chartreuse because I'd go to the fishing store and buy chartreuse colored bait. So it's interesting. It's interesting. And there is no record of chartreuse ever being rusty burgundy red.
Right. Yeah, but that's I remember seeing some online poll or whatever a couple of years ago, and that question came up, which do you think chartreuse is? And I chose the rusty red or whatever. And it's like, okay, I stand corrected. But yeah, that's and the Mandela effect is part of all this. I do cover that in the book.
Well, we'll get into that here. A big
Yeah.
thank you to Paramarv, W. Decker ×2, Lala, Deb, Shane, and Donna for the super chats. Remember, if you're new here, hit subscribe, ring that bell, and we're going to get going right now. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. Reminder to all of you that if you miss portions of this show or others, you can always check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. One of the best authors in the paranormal world, Mike Ricksecker, is here. He's got a brand new book that just came out a couple of days ago. We're shifting to time travel. It's called Travels Through Time, Inside the Fourth Dimension, Time Travel, and Stacked Time Theory, Connecting the Universe. And Mike, it's always a pleasure when we get you on this show. You're one of the best guys out there in this business. Thank you again for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. No, thanks for having me back. We always have a good conversation. You always ask some really interesting questions. And so, yeah, definitely happy to be back. Spaced Out Radio.
I want to start this off by an experience I had a number of years ago.
Okay.
I'll get your opinion.
Sure.
Okay. I remember going to bed, and I'm somebody who does not remember my dreams. So when I dream that I actually remember it, I know there's a message to it. I could never figure out what that message is. So here it was. It was me and my partner walking down this classic Americana type of old school small town street. Okay, the wide streets, the big brick buildings, but it was dark, it was rainy, it was very black and white. And we didn't know. We had to find a hotel room for some reason. Okay, because we were waiting or for whatever the reason was. And can't find a hotel. And yet there's this one person standing underneath this light post. And I said, let's go up to that person and find out where the hotel is. So we run across the street, pouring rain. This person standing under this light post, lit up. And I said, excuse me, sir, could you tell us where the closest hotel is? And I looked at that person, Mike, and I was looking at me.
Oh, interesting.
Okay. But it was the dark side of me. And this person, who is me on the other side, was saying some really nasty things. Okay. Like, you shouldn't be here right now. How did you get here? I would love, and I'll never forget this line. The line was, I would love to kill you, but I can't.
Wow.
But I can't. And he was like, get the hell out of here. Stay away from me. You don't know what you're doing here. It was very cryptic. And ever since then, man, that kind of rocked me a little bit.
Yeah, certainly.
And I don't know how to explain that dream. I could call it a nightmare. Okay. In reality,
Sure.
in humanity, we could call it a nightmare. But I met myself on another timeline.
It's either, yeah, that or you entered some interesting place within your own subconscious. So, because it sounds like you're describing this as kind of the evil, nasty side of you. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a dream interpreter, but
no, I
yeah.
get that. But for me, it almost felt like if we live on a number of different timelines, there's good Dave, there's bad Dave, there's sick Dave, there's healthy Dave, there's rich Dave, there's poor Dave, there's abused Dave, there's, you know, the abuser Dave. You know what I'm saying? Like there's all of these different people at once that we are living. It's the same thing as, you know, there'd be multiple yous in different timelines or dimensions or whatever. And to me, it's always felt like I walked into that different dimension and I didn't know how I got there. That's the way it felt.
Yeah, you're definitely certainly accessing another, some other realm, for sure. So, how you got there, somehow your consciousness at that point, or it really would be your subconscious at that point, was able to tune itself into wherever, that was that this, other being or other version of Dave was at.
Yeah.
Um, and so and really, I think that's what happens in most cases here. We're able to tune our consciousness into another realm, another reality, another dimension, another point in time. But a lot of times we don't understand what that catalyst is. And so we get a glimpse of something, maybe have a short interaction with something. And a lot of times we just don't understand what it is. We, pawn it off as something paranormal, something supernatural. To a degree, all this stuff is actually very quite natural. It's just other parts of our universe that, because we don't normally see it, we don't quite understand it. So yeah, how you actually got there and what that other dimension or other realm or reality that you saw, kind of hard to say, but you certainly were able to access something else.
A lot of times, and I want to throw this out because I hate making shows personal. It's because it's
Mhm.
not about me. But I'm curious your thoughts on this. A lot of times I often wonder, when you miss an accident
Yeah.
and maybe you're driving in your car or slip on you're hiking and you slip on a rock and you start to slide down the hill but your body just stops. I often wonder if on different timelines that action actually follows through. And on many different timelines, maybe we have passed away. Maybe we have, had bad things happen. Is that kind of one of your theories as to what's going on out there with the multiverse?
Yeah, so it's interesting because you do encounter stories like that, and I have some interesting ones along that vein within the book. That and a good one is there's this woman who had a dream that, and this story takes place a while ago, some decades, but in the dream she was at a creek. She had the baby there, and she was doing laundry at the creek, and she had forgotten something at wherever the tents were at, because they had been out camping. Went to go walk that way, comes back, the baby had drowned. She wakes up, she's for one, mortified about the dream, but two, elated that it was just a dream. So some months later, she's with her lady friends. They've got the kids, they're going out camping, all that sort of stuff. And there come a time where she thought it would be a good time to go do some laundry because they're camping for a few days or whatever, and goes down to the creek. And she's got the baby with her, and I guess it was like a toddler or whatever. But she realizes she had forgotten something, turns to go back to the tents to go get it. All of a sudden, she hears the child playing in the water, and boom, it clicks, and she remembers the dream, runs and gets the child, and situation averted. The child, of course, lives. But was that dream? I mean, she got a glimpse of a possible future. So was that dream some sort of just warning to her? Did she get a glimpse of a future that now she was able to change? Was it a parallel universe? So we don't know for sure, but all of those options are on the table.
So premonition would be a part of that and whether or not you follow
Yes.
through.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. When you have a premonition or a premonitory dream or something like that, yeah, that is a part of this. It is a type of time travel. It's not, your physical body going into another point in time, but you are seeing another point in time. So your consciousness is actually the part that's doing the traveling.
Okay, so could we call deja vu the exact same thing?
Yeah, because a lot of times, and when we get a deja vu, it's one of those things that you walk into a room and you're like, oh my gosh, I've been here before, and I think we've all had that happen, to some degree. So you know when we uh when we dream, and that seems to be where a lot of deja vu comes from, is it comes out of the dream state, and our brain goes into several different states while we are asleep, and on some of those different levels we're able to access either other moments in time. We're able to access the collective unconscious and get ideas and thoughts, able to access at times the Akashic records. So there's a lot of things that we can do within that state. And again, when it comes to like the idea, okay, how can we consciously do that? I think um, we need to become more practice at things like meditation to be able to consciously maybe access a record or access uh, s- a glimpse of the future or something like that.
Hmm. Okay. So one of the things, and I'm jumping around here because kind
Sure.
of excited about this, but you mentioned doppelgangers.
Hmm.
Have you ever seen your own doppelganger?
um I don't think I have seen my own. I can't think of a moment in which I have seen myself. But I don't think of doppelgangers as like the whole evil twin or anything like
Right.
that. Um, I mean, just the word doppelganger, German word, just means double walker. It doesn't necessarily mean evil twin or anything like that. I think over the course of the millennia, they got deemed something evil because it's something we don't understand, and so those very superstitious folks or religious folks or what have you, went the whole, well, you're seeing something like this, and must be evil, must be the devil or something. Um, but it's really not. I do have some interesting stories within the book, like in the one that I talk about all the time, uh, because it's a rather famous person. The famous German poet Goethe. Um, he's walking down the road one day. He's headed to his. He's having an affair with a young woman. He's headed to Jotunheim, and he's going down the road, and he's really just kind of lost in his thoughts as he's heading out there. And all of a sudden, the other side of the road, he notices this man in this gold trimmed gray suit, and he turns to look at this man because he's got an interesting suit on. All of a sudden, the guy disappears. Like, wow, what in the world was that? That was bizarre. Years later, he's on the same road, headed in the opposite direction. And as he's walking past that same spot, he looks down and he realizes, wait a minute, I'm wearing the gold trimmed gray suit. I actually saw myself at another point in time. So it gets chalked up to like a doppelganger story because he saw himself. But really, what it was a slip in time. And I think what happened, because and he says in his own works, and the book is Poetry and Truth, or Dichtung and Wahrheit. Um, and he describes himself, I was lost in thought. I was kind of, we do it all the time, right? When we're driving down the road or we're mowing the lawn or whatever, sometimes we just zone out, right? And that's kind of putting yourself into a meditative state, and that's what was happening with him as he was going down the road. And somehow, as he was passing that particular point, he was able to tune into himself from another point in time walking down that same road. So that would be a time slip.
That's incredible. Have you ever had time slip on you?
Um, well, there is an occasion that I've talked about this incident for several years, and I've always talked about it in the terms of encountering an interdimensional being. Um, and I've probably talked about it on your show before because it was one of the more significant stories out of my book, A Walk in the Shadows. And it's where I was at a restaurant called Johnny V's, Muskogee, Oklahoma. We were running a paranormal investigation, really just ending the investigation. I decided to do a last photo sweep of the building. There were a couple of people in the upstairs bar area and a couple others that were out in the front restaurant area. Well, I go through the main door of the kitchen, and all of a sudden, right in front of me, I see just this wisp of a shadow just dart by, and boom, it slams into this side door that leads back out to the dining room. And it's one of those like real flimsy metal doors that waiters and waitresses carry large trays of food through, and you just like tap the thing and it would open. And what was interesting is like, even though you heard the boom bang of the door didn't move at all. And I called out to the others, "Hey, did you guys hear that?" And you're like, yeah, we heard that. And they started asking questions. Did you guys come over here and like try to jump scare me, spook me? Did you throw something at the door? No. I even opened up the door, took a look on the other side. There's nothing on the ground there. And even if they had thrown something at it, I would have seen the door move. So that got me questioning, okay, what exactly did I see? This wispy shadow slams in the door doesn't move, but I hear the thing. And so I have like this whole breakdown in my book, A Walk in the Shadows, and I've included it within Travels Through Time as well, about how, I believed at that point that I had seen something that was at another dimension, another plane of existence. And when I walked into that kitchen, it could see me. Maybe it saw me as a shadow, maybe it saw me as an apparition. I don't know, but I scared it because that thing took off. And on its plane of existence, perhaps that door opened wide and it ran right out into the dining room. But since I'm on my own plane of existence, I didn't see the door move. But sound works on a different wavelength, different frequency. So I was able to hear that, cross the dimensions like that. So since time is another dimension, time is the fourth dimension. And above that, we have, fifth, which you could actually see time as a, physical object. But there is a possibility that what I saw, technically, sure, you could say it's an interdimensional being, but it could very well have been just another person at another point in time, maybe in the past, because this this had worked. This thing had been a restaurant for a long time, had been a dance hall at one point, and the building was old. Or it could have been somebody in the future that was seeing me. Now, what's interesting is, if you think about this, if this was a person at another point in time, and this was some sort of time slip, we could have a paradox here. Because if this was a person from the past, we'll say, I don't know, the 1970s or something, this building had been purportedly haunted for many, many years. Well, what if when it saw me and it took off running through there, maybe it saw me as a ghost, maybe it saw me as a shadow, right? Maybe this is why people for years have believed the building was haunted, because he saw me as a ghost and talked about the story. So that calls into question, okay, which came first, right? Me showing up there to spook him, or him seeing me to tell the stories of the place being haunted for us to come back later and investigate. So that there in itself would be a bootstrap paradox.
No kidding. That's amazing. Absolutely amazing, Mike. I hear stories like that and it just blows my mind because it makes you think in such a different direction than what you're used to.
Yeah.
I remember when I worked at my radio station in Vancouver, there was one intersection there where I had 2 time skips. And literally I pull up going westbound and I'm sitting at a red light. I watch the light go green and I start going through the intersection. And then while I'm in the intersection, I realize it's a red light.
No.
And thank God I didn't get smoked, because it is one of those bigger intersections. It's not a small one.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. And about 4 months later, coming back from work, Same intersection, except this time heading east. Exact same thing happened,
Oh, wow.
where all of a sudden I'm sitting at a red light, traffic's all around me, waiting for that
Mhm.
light. I watch it turn green, and as I start to go, I look up at when I enter the intersection, the light is red.
Wow.
Now,
Yeah. So,
a lot of people will say, well, maybe you blanked out, maybe you were tired from getting up that morning and driving to work, or tired after your shift or whatever. No, no, I was raring to go. I was eating
mhm.
my breakfast,
Yeah. And some
right?
people might chalk it up to, well, maybe it was a glitch with the light, but um, yeah, fortunately, yeah, traffic wasn't moving to wipe you out right there. But
Yeah.
yes, things like that happen where, yeah, you see something and it looks one way at one moment, and then you turn and look again, and it's totally different.
Yeah, it's obviously weird. 3 minutes to go, and I'm sure this subject will carry us over. Why do you believe shadow people are time travelers?
Well, they can be. I mean, not all. It's one possible option. We've talked about it before, and that all there's not like one all encompassing answer to the question, what is a shadow person? They are a lot of different things. Some of them, yes, they're going to be human spirits. They can't fully manifest as an apparition. Some are going to be interdimensional beings. Some are going to be extraterrestrials. Some are time slips. Some are astral projections. There's a lot of different things that they can actually be. So I will say this: that yes, I believe that some shadow entities are a type of time traveler or a type of time slip.
Okay, can you give us an example of where we could maybe figure this one out? We got about 2 minutes.
Um, okay, real quick. Um, Another fascinating story. So, young man, when he was a child, he's walking into the kitchen, and by the kitchen table, he sees this tall, dark, hooded figure. Scares him to death, runs out of the kitchen. Years later, he's in the kitchen. He's at the table making a sandwich. He's wearing a hoodie. All of a sudden, in the doorway, he sees this short shadow being walk in, and all of a sudden, boom, darts back out. And he realizes in that moment, wait a minute, I didn't see a hooded shadow figure. I just saw myself years later. It just, the signal, for lack of a better term, the resonance at that time wasn't strong enough to fully form the figure. So it only came off as a shadow in that moment. But basically, you could call this a doppelganger incident because it's himself. And it's a type of time slip. But yet it came off as a shadow form.
Hmm. That is very intriguing. Very intriguing. And do people see themselves in the future quite often, but we just don't know how to perceive it?
That's quite possible. Again, I think a lot of times that happens, through something like the dream state. That we're getting glimpses of the future. Sometimes, within that dream, it's kind of like you did, where you just saw yourself. Sometimes we do see ourselves uh, in the future, and yeah. So I do believe we get those type of glimpses from time to time.
Do you think that that is just something natural that happens, or something supernatural to try and open our eyes to get to pay attention?
Yeah. Well, it's all just. I'm kind of with Hans Holzer on this. He had the quote that there is no supernatural world. Everything that we're seeing and experiencing is natural. So it's just that there are some things that happen within our world that we don't normally see. So then we end up dubbing it like paranormal or supernatural, something like that. So it is quite natural. The laws of the universe, which we don't fully understand the laws of the universe, but the laws of the universe are as such that we do get glimpses of these more abnormal things sometimes.
Mike Ricksecker, his brand new book, travels through time inside the fourth dimension, time travel and stack time theory connecting the universe, on sale right now in Amazon, on Amazon. Where in Amazon? Just type in Mike Ricksecker. Hour 2 next.
Here's how to order.
You got that right. You got that right. All right, Dirty Fylth, we're going to turn this over to you for a little bit here, where you get Blob and who's the other one?
Whiskey.
Drinking at the bar here. So, Mike, I'm going to just step away for a minute. We got about 5.5 minutes, okay?
All right, I'm gonna take a quick bio break then.
If I remember correctly, Dave swore on the last time, so on the last break. So I think the easiest way to avoid this whole situation is just get piss jugs like truckers. Sorry, Dave. In the future, sorry, Dave. Works out. Anyways, if you go to filthy.com, just that there. Filthy.com, FYLTHY.com. You can scoop my book. You can email me. There's all my links to Twitter and all that cool stuff kids use, or X or whatever it is now. I don't know. And yeah, get my book. Get one for your mom. She deserves one. And hello to everybody that I did not type into the chat earlier. I'm not as fast as Dave with the keyboard and the reading and all this stuff. It goes by so fast. And it's Mr. Black Dragon again. Salute, buddy, old pal. In other news, the cats knocked a whole bunch of water over into the little pool that I had on my tray. And I had the proper color for space uniforms. Now I have to make it again, unfortunately. But we got Whiskey and Blob, the original space sprogs. And they're just sitting at the bar getting all pickled up on the milk. Be getting off pretty soon here because Whiskey's made a mess and it's not like Blob's going to help anybody. She's old and ready for bed. That's... Oh, someone's getting abducted by aliens. Hold on a second here. Flirkins. Why Blob name? The demon, Blob. Her actual name is Lyran, and it's short for lying around lazy. And she was originally found half frozen to death in a hay bale. And anyways, she just got really fat, so we called her Blob. So yes, that's the history of Blob. Blob's a farm cat, much like Whiskey is. Oh, and Whiskey, because when Whiskey meows, it sounds like she's been slugging whiskey and smoking ciggies all night. Really raspy. And that's the backstory of Whiskey and Blob. Dave's got to have like a special backup page that he can watch the chat, because this is just entirely too small to read all at once. Oh yeah, pickled up cats having way too much milk at the counter here. And then 32 squared, the bartender's going to toss them out. You know, Paranormal Pixie, I could probably do that. There's enough material. Come on, boy. And the gremlin has arrived.
And now Fylth keeps quiet.
Well, I'm kind of squished by a cat. I almost swore, so I'm trying to hold up here well and dandy, Dave.
Is Blob there?
No, I don't realize we got the gremlin right now. Look at that thing. What a jerk.
I like with the initials there, W and B, how you have chartreuse next to chartreuse.
Yes.
That is very nice. Very nice. Good call on that, Mike.
I'm glad you picked that up.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Hey, I want to say a big thank you to Paramarv, W Decker ×2, Android, Surf Jared, Deb, Lala, Shane, and Donna for the great super chats. If you're new here, hit subscribe, ring that bell, and here we go with the next hour. If you have any questions, put them in capital letters.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Dave Scott. Always appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Please join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Macrural. Macrural is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Mike Ricksecker is here. You may have seen him from the Alaskan Triangle television show, many others. He is known as the Ghostorian, a historian and paranormal investigator who has 13 books out, and his latest, Travels Through Time, Inside the Fourth Dimension, Time Travel, and Stack Time Theory Connecting the Universe, which can be found on Amazon right now. It was just released a couple of days ago, and that's pretty exciting, Mike, to have that book just come out and have you on here, man.
It really is. Yeah. It's and again, happy to be back here on Spaced Out Radio. We always have a wonderful conversation. Yeah, having book number 13 out. It's been a wild ride. Yeah, it'll be 20 years ago next month that I signed my first book contract. So it's been a long time coming. Yeah.
That is awesome. What is the fun? I'm going to take things back to kind of where we were in hour number 1, right at the beginning. What is the fun of picking a subject like this and just putting life on hold and delving deep into learning everything about this? Because a book of time travel, where it's such a mysterious concept, you really have to dig deep in order to try and find that information.
Yeah, and that's the fun for me right there, is the digging deep and trying to find more information, dig into these different times. And there are things along the way over the years that I've kind of noted and put aside, things that I've included in some of my own shows over the years. And so people who have been following me for a while will recognize some of the material in the book, like, oh, didn't he talk about that a couple of years ago, or and that sort of thing. And so I mean, there's plenty of new material in there as well, but some of the material I've been hanging on to for a while.
Well, good time to put it in a brand new book.
There you go.
Well, why not? I want to ask you in regards to dimensions. there's a lot of talk about dimensions and whether or not, they're running parallel. We briefed on it just a little
Mhm.
bit, but you talk about the fourth dimension,
Yeah.
and many people, especially ET contactees, believe that there are higher dimensional beings out there. Even Sammy Hagar, who claims to be an ET contactee, talks about this lady from the seventh dimension that comes and visits him and has visited him since childhood. I mean, how many dimensions do we think are out there?
Well, our theoretical physics says that there's up to 11 dimensions. So there's, and what's interesting is one of them is actually dimension zero. So, so there's 10 dimensions and then zero, which is actually a point. The line is our first dimension. Second dimension is a plane. So like, flat surface. Think of like a piece of paper. Third dimension, of course, is a 3D object. And then fourth dimension is time, where we exist. And then once you get beyond there, uh, again, theoretical physics, they've mathed this out, is basically what's happened here. According to them, they're up to it will go up to dimension 10, but we don't really quite understand what is within those dimensions. Like immediately, fifth dimension we know is outside of time, because basically, whatever dimension that you are in, you can see very clearly each one that is below you. So whoever's in dimension 5 is going to see time, all moments of it, as basically almost like a physical object. And so, kind of an example of that that I like to use is the movie Interstellar, where toward the end of the movie, Cooper ends up in what they call a tesseract, and he's able to see every single moment in time of his daughter's bedroom, and they're all connected with like these strands, which I think is a nice way to do it. Kind of throwing string theory in there is kind of an almost subliminal thought. Um, but he's able to see every single moment because he's trying to find the right moment and able to convey a message. So that's really what somebody in the fifth dimension would see. It might look differently than what our science fiction and what a movie is put together, but that's the concept right there. And then beyond that, it's it that's where things start getting a little weird, because some of these dimensions, our physicists are saying, are very small. They're almost like at an atomic level. Okay, but we don't really know what they look like.
Let's get to some audience questions here because
Sure.
they are starting to pile up. And let's start off with Android here. He said, Mike, you mentioned the human mind can open portals to other dimensions at the right vibration. Do you think extreme human emotion or trauma can too?
Yeah, I mean, because when that trauma is happening, when that extreme emotion is happening, your brainwave state is, basically going to another place. You have like alpha, beta, theta, delta, these different brave brain wave states, if I could speak. Um, and each person has their own, personal resonance frequency vibration. The human body resonates anywhere from like 9 to 16 hertz, and then you have the different states. And uh when you have trauma, when you have emotion, you enter into like a very, very heightened state of awareness. And so when you reach these different levels, that can open up other areas that you don't normally get to, that you don't normally see or experience. So yeah, somebody could inadvertently, in one of those moments, touch into another realm.
Awesome answer. Awesome answer. Okay, let's continue on here, my friend. Let's go to S. Vermet. If everything is in the now, how does reincarnation work?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, because I do believe in reincarnation. So here you go. You would be at all of those moments consecutively. So, which I know is a little much to kind of wrap the mind around, but we already kind of talked about a little bit, multiple versions of ourselves. Well, it's very conceivable if we were to travel in time, that we could actually interact with ourselves that's in another moment of time. So, when you reincarnate, the kind of quote unquote home world, um, is also outside the realm of time. So therefore, they can kind of pick and choose what moment in time they want to go into. We chose this time, or maybe it was assigned to us. We kind of don't know how that works. The rules kind of. I think we all have a different understanding of what those rules may be. We don't have a guidebook on that, but uh, it's conceivable because that's outside the realm of time, or another dimension, whether it's fifth, sixth, seventh, we don't know. Um, but time would still be an object to it. So you could have yourself inserted into whichever point in time. So you could have a past life going on right now. You could have a future life going on right now. Yeah, they're all working consecutively.
Let's continue on with our audience questions here. And let us go over to Matt. He's got a couple of questions here. Mike, what is your theory on the afterlife? Are ghosts stuck in purgatory?
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't necessarily believe in purgatory. People's energy it does get stuck here. Or they are electing to stay here for a while. So they've basically lost the bodily vessel, but their consciousness is still here. What's fascinating about us is we are automatically, by definition, multidimensional beings, because our consciousness, which is the fourth dimension, what we call time, is inside a three-dimensional object, which is our body. Well, we lose the body, and some people go to the other side, go to whatever that afterlife world is. Some people stay here, whether it's one of those where they don't know that they've passed away, and I believe some people elect to stay here. Like my grandfather, I believe, stayed here because after he had this on my father's side, after he had passed, several of us within the family witnessed him. I had some different interactions with him, my aunt, my grandmother. But then when my grandmother passed away, we didn't hear from grandpa anymore. And so it was one of those, just kind of put two and two together. It's like, oh, he stuck around until grandma passed away, and then they went off together. Um, so I guess that the way to look at it is it's not just one thing. Our body is an object, yes, but our consciousness is within it. We're basically two things in one, if that makes any sense.
It's weird that you mentioned that because in 2018 I lost my nephew to fentanyl, and my mother passed away a couple months ago. And the day before my mother passed away, my sisters and I asked her if she was who she was talking to.
Mhm.
And she said that she was talking to Bryce, my nephew.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so my sister, my eldest sister, who that was her only child, okay, said, Mom, you're talking to Bryce. Where is he?" And my mom was like, "He's right here," kind of like standing in front of her.
Mhm.
She was in a wheelchair, and my sisters were sitting on the bed, and I was kind of on my mother's left. And and so it was kind of interesting because the next morning I was late getting to my mother. My father had to run an errand, and my eldest sister was there when my mother breathed her final breath.
Oh,
And I
wow.
have a feeling that, my sister never got to say goodbye to her son.
Mm.
Okay. And I have a feeling that my nephew came back to help my mother cross over. And it was the perfect trifecta because my sister never got to say goodbye, yet she was the one holding my mom's hand when my
Oh,
mother breathed
wow.
her breath.
Okay.
So I thought it was a perfect way for my mother to go and to give my sister a lot of healing.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, definitely.
it just reminded me of what you're saying there, that the powers of the other side of those who are sticking around may have reasons to do so, whether it's 6 months, whether it's 5 years or 20
Mhm.
years.
Yeah, and I think even after, we've even we've gone to the other side, that we can come back and visit. So you might not be hanging out around here as a ghost or whatever, that you could, pass on to the other side, but still have the option to come back. So I'd said before that, didn't hear from, grandpa anymore, but it's kind of untrue. There was one time where it was joint. It was after both my grandparents had passed, and it was within a dream that that I'd received a visitation from them, and I believe it was a true dream visitation. Where, and I was going through like some real nasty stuff with the divorce. I kind of detailed the story within there, and there was a big to do about the house, and I was really, really stressed out about everything that was happening. Couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. Well, I had this dream that I'm in that particular house, and it's like moving day. Boxes are being packed up, people are cleaning things up, boxes are being moved out, and I'm there with a rag, and I'm wiping down the counter that was there between the kitchen and the living room area. So I'm wiping down the counter. All of a sudden, I see my grandparents there. I'm like, whoa. Okay, so I go around the counter. They're like in the kitchen. I'm go around and I'm hugging them, like, oh, grandma and grandpa, it's wonderful to see you. How have you been? You doing all right? And they kept saying, we're fine. You need to know that you're going to be okay. And I wasn't really paying attention to that part. I was just, kept asking them how they were doing. They're like, no, we're good. We're good. But you need to know that everything you're going through right now, you are going to be fine. And the dream ended not long after that, but everything did, eventually end up fine. But I believe that was a real visitation by them to calm me down, calm my fears on that particular situation. So, in that moment, what I believe what would have happened then is I was I was asleep at the time. I was in a certain brainwave state, and they were able to come in from outside this universe, insert themselves into that particular moment. Their spirit, their just consciousness at that point. And they were able to come in and interact with my consciousness at that moment within the sleep state, deliver their message, then exit back out. And so this is something that when you think of our universe as being like a type of simulation, you can kind of insert yourself and come back out, log in, log out, right? Pretty much at will.
Let's continue to Matt's second question here for you.
Okay.
Theories on what's happening to people like Chris Bledsoe. Are you familiar with Chris Bledsoe in the UFO, where he had an encounter with an orb that led to lots of alien encounters? He's being studied by the U.S. government. Just wrote a book called UFO of God.
Yeah, I haven't read the book. So I don't know all the details of this particular case.
Well,
So I mean,
let's talk about. Let me expand on this a little bit
yeah,
to get your opinion, because there are people out there who are connected, far more connected than the majority of us. I think we can agree on that.
sure.
What do you think? What do you think about people who have that ability to connect to higher dimensional beings?
Yeah, I mean, we all have the ability to do so. I think people that do on a regular basis have been able to tune themselves in to that. So, I've been talking a lot about personal resonance frequency vibration. And I think, some people are more naturally inclined to be able to do that for starters. And, it's almost kind of like I don't know, like hitting a baseball. Anybody can pick up a bat and a ball, swing it, and hit a ball at some point. Some people are going to become, major league all stars, and other people might be able to play some backyard wiffle ball or something, right? But everybody has the ability to swing a bat and hit a ball. Kind of the same thing here. Everybody has that ability, but you're going to have some people that um, you can become better skilled with practice, and some people are just really more naturally gifted and inclined to be able to do that. And I think it has to do with they are able to tune their personal frequency and vibration to whatever those levels are to be able to interact with these different beings.
Great answer. All right, let's continue on here. Let's go to the demon. What about paradoxes? What are your thoughts on those?
Yeah, I have an entire chapter on paradoxes within that. We talked about one earlier briefly on mentioning the bootstrap paradox. So and I do address like the grandfather paradox within there. Of course, got to give the example of Marty McFly and all that wonderful stuff. What I find interesting is the grandfather paradox in kind of traditional science. It kind of gets scoffed at because it's been used in like a lot of science fiction uh, texts, different stories and things like that. But yet, in the 1980s, when there was a theory that was proposed that um, even if time travel was possible, the ability to disrupt the timeline and create a paradox was zero, because introducing a paradox, if you do the math, it basically gets negated. It becomes a zero. So uh, Joe Polchinski, who's a theoretical physicist, was chatting with Kip Thorne, another theoretical physicist, on this particular matter. And Polchinski basically introduced this concept of, well, if you were to shoot a billiard ball into a wormhole, and if the other side of that wormhole was positioned as such that it was, angled to hit the billiard ball just before it entered the wormhole to kick it off course, then you would, create this paradox. And it's like, oh, wait a minute. That's the grandfather paradox, just using a billiard ball instead of a guy and his grandfather. So,
Right.
um, so I found that pretty humorous. So I do cover some different paradoxes in there. And really what a paradox is the result of some meddling around with the timeline. They uh, briefly mentioned the Mandela effect earlier, and that is a result of the timeline being meddled around with. It is a bit of a type of a paradox.
All right. We've got about 2 minutes here. Let's try and sneak in
Sure.
one more question here. Let's go to Vanessa here, who is asking, Mike, what do you think about inner space being reached through pain or bondage?
Well, that's another instance there where we talked about trauma and other things earlier. You're putting yourself into a different brainwave state. I'm familiar with the idea of you end up in that pain, you end up like quote unquote floating, that sort of thing, and really it's the you got all kinds of different things going on. You have like the chemicals, the endorphins, and things like that are kicking up, and then your brainwave state ends up in a different mode. So, kind of a similar thing. You're just using a different methodology to get there.
All right. That was quicker than what I thought. This is a book. Did you accomplish everything with your book that you wanted to? Because I could see this being quickly turned into a series that has 2 or 3 more in it.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is the start of the series. This is the start of the Connecting the Universe series. So, like I was kind of talking about earlier, this is really a base for the other topics that I'm going to get into, but I'll always come back to this one. It's kind of the jumping off point for everything else that we're going to be talking about.
Love it, my man. Love it. You have such a talent to execute these types of subjects, and the way you do it is with a fine tooth comb, and it comes out brilliantly, absolutely brilliantly, and
Thank
you
you, my friend.
deserve everything that you get. And I'm so glad we have you for another 30 minutes here on Spaced Out Radio, because I know our audience has a bunch more questions that they're going to want to ask you, and time travel. We all think it's about people coming from the future, but as Mike Ricksecker is telling us tonight, it has a lot more to do with so much more, from doppelgangers to shadow people to ghosts, the paranormal, UFOs, aliens, and so much more. Are we being visited? Have you visited yourself? Your questions and more with author Mike Ricksecker and his book Travels Through Time, Inside the Fourth Dimension, Time Travel, and Stacked Time Theory, which can be found on Amazon right now. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. I love timing things out perfectly like that. That was a
Yeah,
good
that was
one.
good.
That
Yeah,
was good.
yeah, yeah.
Yep.
There's you guys have some good questions, so I definitely appreciate it.
Oh, no worries, my man. No worries. Maybe tell people where they can find you, because I know you got a busy travel schedule coming up this summer.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I have my event schedule on MikeRicksecker.com. I do have to update it because I just had another event booked in December. So August 12th, I'm going to be at the Bell Mansion in Fort Wayne, Indiana, doing a book signing. And I did a Connecting the Universe event there back in June, which was a paid event. And I had like a whole big presentation and all that stuff. This one is not a paid event, no tickets or anything. It's just you can walk into the Bell and I'll be there signing books. So there's that. That's August 12th. It's Fort Wayne, Indiana. Then August 24th through the 26th, that's Michigan Paracon. That's in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. And then September 6th through the 9th, I'll be at Phenomicon in Vernal, Utah. And part of that event, on the 6th, they have a film fest that they're doing. And they asked me to present a couple of episodes of my Shadow Dimension docuseries. So, yeah, so I got a few things coming up here.
That is great. And, we are actually broadcast in Vernal, Utah.
Oh, great. Well,
Yeah.
come on out, Vernal.
Yeah. You know what? I was thinking about it. I was, just get away, but we'll have to see, because it's hard for my schedule to get away. And
Yeah.
September is going to be a real busy month for me. Very busy month if things work out the way I think they are. So I just got to bite my tongue on this one. But Vernal always has some sort of weird event going on. They just had a Bigfoot event. They have a couple of UFO events every year.
Mhm.
It's just a town that really understands supporting this type of information is going to be wonderful.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, I always like to see a community embrace these things. So that's good.
Yeah. We got to get you up here, man. You gotta travel north of the border once in a while.
Yeah, just not in your direction. We did Niagara Falls for New Year's Eve, which was wonderful to see the fireworks out over the falls.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
That would be cool. My dream is to spend. I want. Apparently, in Las Vegas, they put on a great New Year's Eve show with the fireworks on the strip. I want to see that so bad. My
Yeah.
cousin who lives down there says it's just bloody incredible.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I haven't seen the fireworks there, but I've heard good things. So yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Of course, Kira. That is one of the reasons I wanted to have our party in Vernal.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
There it is. Kira is the brains of this operation.
Oh yeah.
She
Cool.
is. Yeah. Yeah. She's my backbone.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like you with your agent. Every now and again, you have to have somebody who's able to grab you and just lead you in that perfect direction, and that's what Kira does for me.
It helps, that's for sure.
Yes.
Definitely need people who have your back.
Absolutely. Hi, Sweetly Morbid Bear. Good to have you back. And W. Decker. For anyone watching this recording, I just time traveled.
Very cute.
Very nice. Very nice. And
you are actually slightly watching this in the past. Like
yes.
Even when you look at yourself in the mirror, you're looking at an image of yourself slightly in the past.
It's kind of weird that way.
Yeah.
Weird. Tokeland, how you doing? Welcome back. And and it will continue for the future as it broadcasts way out into space, leaving this planet slowly but surely to make its lifetime eternal travel through the stars.
There you go.
The beauty of broadcasting, you live forever. Makes me wonder where all my sports radio stuff was back in the day. I'm sure it's got to be past Saturn now. Has to be.
I would think so. I mean, how long ago was that?
Well, I left terrestrial radio in 2007, so coming up 16
Wow.
years ago, 17 years ago.
Yeah, I would think it's a ways past Saturn by this point.
Probably. Hey, I want to say a big thank you to W. Decker with the hat trick, Surf Jer, Android, Donna, Paramarv, Lala, Deb, and Shane for the super chats. And thank you to everybody who's new and hit subscribe and rang that bell. Shop at our Spaced Out Radio store at our website. Here we go with the next half hour. We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. Reminder to all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Final time tonight, author, researcher, debonair television host, Mike Ricksecker is with us talking about his great new book, the 13th in his catalog, travels through time, inside the fourth dimension, time travel, and stacked time theory, connecting the universe. It just came out a couple of days ago regarding how time is shaped. What's the symbolism? What's the alchemy around it? Mike, thank you so much for being here tonight. It's been such a pleasure to have you back.
Yeah, and it's been great being back. We've had a really wonderful conversation tonight. Your viewers and listeners have some wonderful questions. It's definitely been good.
Well, let's continue with those audience questions.
All right, let's do it.
Felipe is asking, have you heard of Grinberg's synergic theory? And if so, can it explain time travel?
I am not familiar with that theory, so I'm not sure.
Either.
So maybe a little definition, and that would help.
Well, let's see if we could bring it up. Grinberg's, is that?
Grinberg's synergic theory, yeah.
Synergetic. I think he meant synergetic. Synergy theory. Let's try that. It states that there is a continuous space of energy and the common human can only perceive a part of it. So that's
well, yeah, I mean, that's true. We talk about that all the time. And just naturally, even like with our vision, right? We only see there's a large spectrum of light out there, but we only see a certain band of that light. And the same goes with everything else. There's so much around us that we can't see or hear or feel, but it is around us. So when it comes to time travel specifically, well, sure. I mean, we've kind of been talking about that all night when it comes down to resonance, frequency, vibration. Yeah.
Let's go to Neil. Can my consciousness shift from one self to a parallel self?
I've wondered that sometimes, because there are some things that it's either that or like the Mandela effect or something, because there are some things that pop up in my life, or somebody in my family or whatever, something's not being remembered right, or a story gets changed or something. And sometimes have I popped into a parallel universe? So it maybe I can't say definitively, but I think it's possible.
What is your thoughts of the Mandela effect?
I've witnessed it. So I have a section in the book on the Mandela effect, and it's not, so you can, like, if you look up the Mandela effect online, you'll see like top 50 examples of the Mandela effect, and it's all stuff like the spelling of Oscar Mayer, or the way the song "We Are the Champions" ends, and things like that. my example actually you won't find it on that top 50. So I won't dive into the whole story here. So I do want people to read the book, but I believe it's legitimate, and I think it's the result of people that have gone back in time. They're not intentionally trying to change whatever it is. Some of these things are pretty mundane, right? But I think whatever it is that gets changed in the past when they arrive over the course of time, as it were, kind of like, the butterfly effect, it has other repercussions that they're not aware of. And so that's why, sometimes, we'll have a memory of something. It's like all of a sudden it's changed. Um, some people are more in tune to that than others, but yeah, it's a result of, really almost like a paradox playing itself out.
Yeah, I'm still a little confused by the Mandela effect. I think a lot of them can be explained, but
Yeah.
there are some out there, like movie lines or cereal boxes or something. I think we can easily misremember those. But there are just certain ones. The big one that really kind of messes me up is Cuba, because I always thought Cuba was a small little island attached to like Haiti or something like that. And yet it's a massive island.
It's a larger island. Yeah. And another one that people get hung up on is, where New Zealand is. Is
Mhm.
it to the northeast or southeast of Australia?
Yeah. There's a ton of them out there.
Yeah.
Ton of them out there. Or the kidneys. Brian Stavely, who does a lot of work on Mandela effect, like, do you remember in boxing, no kidney punching because they weren't protected by the ribs,
Right.
and now kidneys are underneath the rib cage.
Go figure that. What happened to our physiology, right?
I don't know. When do you think
Yeah.
that whole timeline shifted? Do you think it was year 2000? Do you think it was with the Mayan calendar?
Man, I think it happens all the time. And I think that's why there's so many of these is that, you know, I- I- people in the future have figured out, how to time travel, and they go back and they may not be trying to change anything, you know, uh, almost like Back to the Future. He wasn't trying to, stop his father and mother getting together. But I think, and I think a lot of times they're just going back to watch, observe. I don't think they're going back to purposely try to change anything, but stuff happens and it gets changed anyway. And then there's just these long term effects. So I think stuff changes all the time.
Yeah, but it's so subtle. It's not like all of a sudden, the New York Rangers have rattled off 4 Stanley Cups in a row, you know, or
You're going to
or
wake up tomorrow and they will have.
yeah, that'll absolutely trip me out
Hey,
if that does happen.
The Red Sox have won 4 World Series in this century. So, I that's got to be the Mandela effect right there.
It's absolutely sickening when we talk about things like that, being a Yankee fan myself, you know, and, sorry, Jenna, Mike's fiance, for being a Red Sox fan. But, I mean, there's just so many things that it amazes me, that it's going on, but we gotta have you on for another show about Mandela
Sure.
effect, uh, just because of that. All right, let's continue on with our audience here. Bomber is asking, Mike, do you have access to a DeLorean? Because it certainly appears that way. She's calling you Michael J. Fox
That
doppelganger.
Yeah, that would be fun. That'd be, and I heard they're bringing DeLoreans back. Of course, without the time travel aspect, but I heard they're bringing them back.
The demon wants to know, what's your thoughts on the brain's receptibility during sleep?
It's very receptible during sleep. So this is, during those states where we can tap into like the collective unconscious, get a lot of different, interesting downloads there. Um, we can tap into, other universes and things like that while we are asleep. We can tap into other parts of the timeline, and we can get. That's where we have like a lot of premonitions and things like that. So yeah, the brain while sleeping can tap into a lot of different things for sure.
Do you believe then that maybe because the brain is so powerful that a lot of these situations where people claim to have alien abductions, that maybe it is just a raw imagination from another realm, another time, maybe a different lifetime?
I mean, I think people are having these interactions with aliens, or extraterrestrials, or whatever you want to call them. Some of them. So here's the thing. When we throw the term extraterrestrial around, or UFO abduction or whatever, we're always coming up with this idea of like little green men that are in their flying saucers that came across the cosmos. Yeah, and maybe some of these are, but I think many of them are entering into our realm interdimensionally, that they have figured out maybe some sort of wormhole technology, Einstein Rosen bridge, that sort of thing, or have figured out how to take themselves out of the fourth dimension into the fifth, sixth, or whatever and beyond, and have learned how to traverse the different dimensions to come into our realm that way. Some of these could very well just be time travelers. There has been the idea postulated that some of these extraterrestrial sightings, UFOs, UAPs, are not extraterrestrials from another planet, but are ourselves that have traveled here from another time. It's like, okay, sure, that could be a possibility, that humanity in the future has figured out time travel and they're coming back to either observe, study things that happened in the past. Maybe there's a resource that they need that there's no longer available in the future. Sure, why not? Why does it always have to be human, though? Far into our future, humanity could very well be extinct. And the planet's going to be around for another 5 billion years. And to kind of put that into context of how soon humans could be gone, the dinosaurs went extinct 65 million years ago. That's just over 1% of the entire lifespan of the planet so far. So, um, so at some point down the road, humanity could be extinct from here. Maybe we've gone on to another planet and abandoned Earth. Who knows? But some point in the future, let's say, some millions or maybe in a billion years from now, let's say there's another life form in the universe that has interstellar travel, comes here to this planet that no longer has humans and colonizes it. And then let's say they either have at their disposal at that point or end up developing time travel. And, if you had developed time travel and, don't know much about your planet's history, you might want to go back and take a look. So some of these, UAPs, UFOs, calling them time travelers, sure, they could be time travelers, but they could still be extraterrestrials that came from another planet, colonized Earth, and then went back in time to check out our history. So there's a lot of different avenues you could go down with this.
Very true. And it's a stunning avenue. Neil is asking, could I time travel like taking a vacation without creating tears in the space time continuum?
Um, I think you'd have to be careful, um, because your presence anywhere, right, is going to have an effect, some way, shape, or form. Again, kind of going back to the butterfly effect. If you time traveled and just even, I don't know, taking a walk in the woods or whatever, your presence there as you bump into branches, step on twigs, maybe you wipe out an ant colony as you step on it there. I mean, it's going to have some sort of repercussion, even though it seems very subtle. The long-term effects of that, you know, might come into play. And those are just some basic things. We're not even talking about, bumping into an actual human, because once you bump into anybody, well, that changes the course of what their life was going on. So it'd be really, really difficult.
You mentioned something just a minute ago before this question. It just popped into my head. You were
Mhm.
talking about, that maybe it isn't us, that maybe it's multiple, and this goes back to the Mandela effect, where do you think maybe multiple time travelers have played with that space-time continuum,
Mhm.
and that's the reason why we see so many different Mandela effects today.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I don't think that whatever, like, okay, we'll just take like the spelling of Oscar Mayer, or a movie title line or whatever. I don't think they're coming back to intentionally change those things. I think they're coming back. Maybe there is something that they were changing, or maybe there's something they're observing. Maybe they, and while they were observing whatever it was, they bumped into somebody and changed the course of that person's life. However subtly it seemed at the time, but that has repercussions. So and so I believe that this has happened several times, that something has happened in the past. Somebody went back, changed something up, and somewhere down the road, these things that we're noticing now inadvertently got changed.
Makes a lot of sense, my man. Makes a lot of sense. Okay, let's move on to Neil again here, asking, would the sports almanac thing work in real life? Oh, I wish.
I
I wish.
Theoretically, if as long as nothing else got changed along the line, yeah,
Yeah, I
go
think
into
he
the
wants to
future,
be
get your
another.
sports almanac, come back, play some bets.
He wants to be the next Biff Tannen. I could
Yep.
tell. I mean, would you do it if you had the sports almanac and you were able to travel into the future
I
or
think
in back
most
in
people
time?
would. I think most
It's
people would.
unlimited wealth. It's
Yeah.
unlimited wealth. And
The problem then becomes like with Biff, he had darker intentions, right? So, um, you know, the things that Biff did with that money, I wouldn't do. So then it comes down to responsibility.
yeah, I agree with you on that. I mean, it'd be interesting to see if that happened, what kind of change a person could make for the
Yeah.
positive if they had the right intentions. Let's go to Android here. Mike, have you been following the Skinwalker Ranch show? If so, your thoughts on them mapping a possible wormhole with a high frequency LiDAR?
Yeah, that was fascinating. I have been following the show. Yeah, that was really interesting the way it appeared. It was all black in the middle, had that interesting shape, and then the circle around it. And I mean, honestly, I'm not surprised. There's something, and people argue and debate over what is there in the ground, but there's something there in the ground. Um, it could be, some people say, well, it could be a UFO that's buried underground. Okay, maybe. But I think greater odds are it is some sort of significant mineral deposit. Because basically what happens, and we see this in like different triangle areas around the world, like Bermuda Triangle, Alaska Triangle, things like that, where you have the Earth's electromagnetism coming out of the core. This is just a very natural thing. And as it passes through like the Earth's mantle, crust, all that, it interacts with different metals and minerals. And depending on what it interacts with, it will create different electromagnetic anomalies and things like this. So I think it's more of that, some sort of significant metal deposit. But the idea of that it could be creating some sort of wormhole because of that, certainly. Another one that I found interesting from that show was you had uh, the Native American drum circle, that as they were beating, they're creating that very distinct beat. Again, we're talking about vibration. And up on the top of the mesa, the infrared is showing the stone circle getting hot. That was fascinating to me as well. So they're doing some really interesting things on Skinwalker.
Yeah. The power of the native drum. I'm learning, like, my community is very, very heavily First Nations.
Mhm. Good.
And the one thing that I am learning about the community, I got to talk to one of the elders, and we were talking about drumming. And and I asked him point blank, because I'm kind of naive at times about subjects. I asked him, what is the purpose of the drum? What is the healing? What does the drum do? And he started kind of taking his fist to his chest, and he says, it's the heartbeat of Mother Earth. And he goes, everything has a heartbeat. everything has a vibration, and the
Mhm.
drumming can bring it all together. And it was a very powerful moment and statement that he made to me regarding that. So yeah, I mean the fact that it does happen, and it can create a vibration frequency that everything from plants to wild animals and even the weather changes and the spirits around come to love. I think it's wonderful. And
Yeah, absolutely.
that's something scientific, or that should be studied scientifically a little bit more. I'd love to see that. All right, let's go over to super crazy here. Do you think that Bigfoot or any other cryptid is a time traveler?
It's possible. I'm open to that idea. Some people have speculated Bigfoot being some sort of interdimensional being, and by definition, a time traveler would be moving through the different dimensions. So I'm open to the idea. Yeah.
What's your thoughts? Where do cryptids in the whole time travel manifest? Where do they play a role, or do they at all?
I mean, I guess it just depends on the particular cryptid. Like with Bigfoot, that's one that's kind of been speculated lately here because of how kind of quickly they appear and disappear and that sort of thing. That there might be some sort of interdimensional being. Um, Others, like something like the Loch Ness monster or the Lake Iliamna monster, which is kind of like the Loch Ness of Alaska. These are not really moving interdimensionally. They're just there, kind of hiding out in the waters, and might even be like a plesiosaur left over from millions of years ago. So it just depends on the cryptid we're talking about.
Okay. Do you believe, like many believe, that Sasquatch is a shapeshifter or multidimensional being?
Again, one of those that I'm open to the idea. I think it's hard to be really definitive, about this sort of thing. But I keep myself open to the possibilities.
I love it. I'm so addicted to the cryptid world right now. So addicted to it. It's just something that feels good about that.
Yeah.
Where do you stand? Where do you stand on the fact that a lot of these cryptids, many people believe, might be coming from different dimensions or different realms or even outer space, and were dropped off here?
Yeah, I mean, well, like a lot of these disappearances out in the woods, right? A lot of these cryptids are seen out in the woods. What's interesting is, the ones that are found, the ones that come back to us, they'll talk about some interesting stories about, I heard a noise out in the woods. I stepped off the path for a moment to take a look and didn't find whatever was that was making the noise. Turned back to, step back on the path. All of a sudden, the path is gone, and I'm lost out in the middle of the woods, out in the middle of nowhere. And it's like days later, they're finally found. So, was it some sort of portal that they stepped through, some sort of, interdimensional rift? What was it that happened? They step into another point in time. Um, it's so if that's happening with some of these people that are going missing, then yeah, what about these cryptids and other creatures that are being seen out in the woods? Are they using those modes of transport to come in and out?
Very interesting indeed. Mike, we got less than a minute to go here. Want to say a big thank you, my good friend, for
Mhm.
coming back on Spaced Out Radio. I love it when you're here. And, you have an open slot anytime you want to come on. My man, do me a favor. Tell everybody where they can find your brand new book, your website, your podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. You can find the book, I mean, basically wherever books are sold, online, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, all those wonderful places. You can go to my website, mikericksecker.com. I have the links there as well. And there's my online learning portal, connecteduniverseportal.com. That'll also have the links to the books and everything. So
Well, you are
that's it.
a true gentleman of this phenomena here, man. Keep up the great work. Keep up your passion, because you're one of the best out there, in my opinion. And we need more people like you telling the stories and doing the research. Mike Ricksecker, everybody. When we return, Steve Stockton is here with a great spooky story. Then Shane Michael Crisp is back with the Cryptid Report. It's Dave 101 night and the strange news of the weeks. Hour 3 is next. Great job, Mike. Great
All
job.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, my friend.
We'll talk soon, okay?
All right, will do. Have a good night.
You too. See you,
All
bud.
right, take care. Bye-bye.
Great guy. Fantastic guy. What do you got for us here, Dirty Filth? Wow. His cats are boozed up. You got to turn your, maybe I got to put your mute off. There you go.
Oh, nope. I made sure I was double muted, so I wasn't swearing away here, Dave.
It's a good one. Even the microwave is
yeah.
headed up. Holy cow.
It's not the microwave.
It's like a microwave. I'm going to be right back, Phil.
Pretty sure if you called 32 Squared a microwave, he'd pick a fight with you, but he's a bartender, so he'd probably still buy a beer. All right. Drunk Muse. Yes, the Sprogs have been pickled up. It's whiskey and blob. The blob just hammered. It's hilarious. This is one of those ones where I look at my own artwork and I go, yeah, that's a good one. No, it's Carol Ann's and milk for the cats. Has to be Carol Ann's. I think they drink rum and milk. Yeah. Put rum with milk. Probably sully that rum. Well, Mr. Derek Galloway, my cats are non-smokers. Whiskey just sounds like that because she was born that way. She wasn't half frozen to death in hay bale like Blob was, so she's had a little bit easier of a life. The inside joke I showed Mrs. Fylth beforehand. We chuckled because Whiskey's the one that eats all the grass and vomits all over the place. It's like she's a long-haired barn cat. So there's plenty of grass, plenty of vomit, and it kind of rolls itself out and she pukes it up like some kind of cat dreadlock type thing. And it works out really good for cleaning up. So yeah, anyway, we're here listening about aliens, and next thing we know, there's Dirty Filth talking about cats, and yeah, here we are. Nonetheless, thanks for coming out and watching us draw stuff. We've got Shane Michael Crisp in the background. He's lurking. I can see him. Talking about time traveling. I'm time traveling right now. Anyways, there's been some pretty good time traveling things. Oh, look at that. Oh, the power just went up. Look at that cartoon. That's a good one. Yes. Just cutting those ladies off. Blob and Whiskey. There's some rowdy, whatever the equivalent for bitches would be for cats. I don't know. I'm not a wordsmith. I just draw cartoons. Skunkworks, Raytheon, Northrop Grumman. Did you guys ever see that Northrop Grumman thing? I think that was them. And they had all their technology flying through. At the very end, they just showed some clouds. And there was like a triangle shadow that went over the clouds. It was an interesting advertisement. I'm not sure if it was Northrop Grumman. Anyways. By the way, You can go to fylthy.com, Fylthy, and buy my book. Buy one for your mom. You know, buy one for your neighbor. Go over and meet your neighbor. Be like, hey, listen to this weird radio station. David, middle of a plug here. Sorry.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. So, and then Dave shows up and he's like, yeah, I would definitely advise that you buy a book for your neighbor and your mom. Anyways.
I would. I approve of that message.
There's like 10 people around me that have a book and they don't even know who got the book.
I got a book. I got one. And you just muted me just like that. Boom. I'm going to mute you back. That's the way we do it around here. Mm-hmm. That's the way we do it. Sweet Robbie G, how many autographs have you signed yet? James Weston, my neighbor is a dick. Only thing I'd buy him is a kick in the nuts. That's funny. Thank you tonight to James W. Decker times 3, Shane, Deb, Surf Jer, Android, Lala, Donna, and Paramar for the great super chats tonight. Very much appreciate the love and support. If you haven't already, hit subscribe, ring that bell, give us a thumbs up. Here comes our number 3.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Thank you so much for tuning us in. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Mackerel. Mackerel is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. It is that time of the night where we go to Steve Stockton from Among the Missing for another spooky story.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Among the Missing YouTube channel on Spaced Out Radio. I'm Steve Stockton, and I'm about to take you on an unbelievable journey of people just like you. Their stories and encounters will haunt us on Among the Missing. First, let's talk about disappearances along the Pacific Crest Trail. Since 2016, there have been several high-profile disappearances on the PCT. Were they just misadventure caused by hypothermia or accidents? The cases of Chris Fowler, David O'Sullivan, and Chris Sylvia reminds us of the dangers on some parts of the trail, especially in the colder months of the year. First up, David O'Sullivan. David disappeared April 7th, 2017. 25-year-old Irishman, David O'Sullivan planned a 5-month hike on the PCT in April of 2017. He left Middleton, County Cork, Ireland on March 20th, but sadly, David never returned to his home country. A novice hiker, he started in Campo on March 22nd and had planned hiking the entire PCT from the border with Mexico to that with Canada. His trail name was Leprechaun. David spent a lot of time preparing for his trip, regularly tackling Cara Untahill, the highest peak in Ireland, at 1,038.6 meters, carrying weights, and he also transformed his parents' garage into a mini gym. Having completed a media course as well as a degree in English and philosophy at the University College Cork, David saved money from his job working in a local garage in Middleton to fund his trip. He was inspired to walk the PCT, having read the book Wild, which also became a film starring Reese Witherspoon. O'Sullivan is described as 5 feet 10 inches tall, weighed 154 pounds, has brown hair, blue eyes, wears glasses, and has a heavy Irish accent. He'd been hiking for 2.5 weeks when he found himself in Idlewild, a small mountain town at the foot of the San Jacinto Mountain on April 5th. Idlewild is a popular holiday spot, and he spent the night at the Idlewild Inn, a family-owned accommodation. His mom, Carmel, spoke about the last time he was seen. He arrived into this little town on the 5th called Idlewild. It's about halfway up the mountain, 2.5 weeks into his hike. He did a few chores, got in touch with all his friends on Facebook, and contacted us. Everything was going fine. And he was leaving on the morning of the 7th, and he's not been heard of or seen since. Correspondence with his family indicates that David had plans to hike on the morning of the 7th. He'd been waiting for an adapter for his Kindle to arrive at the post office. I was considering waiting until it opened until he set off the next day, but he was concerned that it might interfere with his schedule. It is not known whether he tried to pick up the adapter or not, but it is certain he never received it, as it ended up back at the retailer. An email he sent on that very same morning will be the last communication that David ever made. There was unusual weather on the San Jacinto Mountain that year, with an unusual amount of snow for so early in the season. There are numerous trails up the mountain, with Devil's Slide being by far the most popular, but just one day before David was last seen, a hiker reported getting a mile into the trail before encountering snow and turning back. Now, David had no alpine experience, but he had told other hikers he had no intention of hiking the snow, and he did not buy any snow equipment prior to his journey. He did make a $70 purchase at the local outdoor store Nomads, but the item was not registered on their point of sale. According to the store, all their snow equipment would have been listed on their receipt. David was also using a half-mile map, a brand specifically created for the Pacific Coast Trail. The map advised hikers to hike up Black Mountain Road when snow was present in order to avoid the most dangerous part of the terrain. David had been working hard at a garage and saved for a year to go on his Pacific Crest adventure. He visited an ATM before he set off up the mountain, but only withdrew enough to buy more food at the next stop. A sizable amount was left in his account and has not been touched since that final transaction. At home, David's mother Carmel and father Con were becoming increasingly concerned. David had warned them that there would be periods of several weeks where he would not be able to get in touch, but feeling that something was wrong, his parents went ahead and contacted the Pacific Crest Trail Association in April. They were told to sit tight and wait to see if David turned up. He had arranged to meet a friend in Santa Barbara in May, but he never arrived.
Another spooky story from our good friend, Steve Stockton from Among the Missing. And if you want more than like that, all you got to do is head on over to youtube.com/Among the Missing. Hit subscribe, ring that bell, as Steve has great stories for you each and every day. All right, from the missing to the mountains and the mysteries, it's time for the Cryptid Report. Shane Michael Crisp from the West Coast Dogman Project filling in for Super Duke. Super Duke, the Cryptid Report with Super Duke. All right, Shane Michael Crisp, it's a been a busy time for you and reports going on here, and you got some incredible Dogman pictures that were sent to you as well. First off, how you been doing, my man?
Good. How you doing, Dave? Good to see you tonight. Sorry I wasn't on last week, but I think BMR killed it last week. He was awesome.
We got BMR coming back on Monday night to talk about his brand new book that he has out, and I'm very interested to see that and hear his stories. He's such a hard worker in this field and everything. That's Bigfoot Michigan Rob. And, he filled in amicably for you. And I know sometimes work catches you up. I mean,
unfortunately,
You know, I mean, sometimes being a Niners fan, you have to have your quiet time in the woods and out with the horses. How many horses do you have?
Well, before COVID hit, I had 3, but then inflation hit. Not to get into politics, I'm just saying living in California is expensive. So I had it down to 1 right now. So, but unfortunately, I had to give 1 away and I sold the other. I made sure they went to good homes though. So that was my number 1 thing, was as long as they went to good homes. And I gave 1 to a trainer and the other to a roper.
Have you ever seen a wild horse?
Actually, that's a good question. No, I haven't. I've been all over the United States in the Western United States, but never seen the wild one. That's kind of like on my bucket list.
We have this lake up here called Gustafson Lake.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a big dude ranch that connects at the one end. And they let you drive through and everything. And the one day I went out there last fall, I counted 65 wild horses.
Wow.
Yeah. In this giant field. And let me tell you, we were probably 800-900 yards away from them. And it is weird how quickly they get spooked.
Oh, very. They are flight animals for sure.
Oh yeah, like even if you cough, they are gone and they take off and they're like, "What the hell was that?" You know, humans around here. Let's get the hell out of here. You know, but
exactly.
Oh yeah, but yeah, there was about 60 of them. And when we were doing our filming about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago now, we were driving out into the logging roads and we came up to 2 packs. One was there was a pack of 4 adults, including a stallion and a little foal that
Mhm.
had to be. The foal was probably a couple weeks old. Maybe a month old.
Oh, so it was just yeah.
Yeah. And
that's
and
one
then
thing
we
I
were
can say is
Yeah, go ahead.
oh no, I was just saying luckily the one horse I do have it was a wild Mustang. She was captured from BLM. They broke her out and they sold her to a trainer, and I was lucky to be able to purchase her, a few years back, about 7-8 years ago. So I have a wild Mustang myself.
Yeah, they're beautiful, and then we ran into a pack of 2 that these 2 are always around and they're always hanging out together. So I'm sure it's weird how the packs break out because there's so many different little packs that hang out together. But when the temperatures start to get colder, they all kind of come together to stay a little bit warmer,
For
but
sure.
it's all good. It's all good. Well, tell us some Dogman stories if you don't mind, because you sent me some pictures of man, that looks like a werewolf. Not gonna lie.
It does. Yeah. So, as I don't know if a lot of your viewers know, I am the NADP Region 1 director for Jody Cook. And I've got 2 reports that anyone can pull up from the NADP website. You go to the evidence encounter, and Jody's got a map of every encounter that was sent to them, I would say within the last 5 years. And there's one report from Northern California that the former Region 1 director, Dev Rooney, actually wrote this report up and received the pictures. Jody received the pictures. They sent it to some experts. They had them analyzed and said that the photos weren't tampered. I even took the photos myself, and me being an iPhone guy, I tried inverting the photo, and the photos show that it's pitch black. I can't tell you, Dave. It's the photo blows my mind. To me, it's personally the best Dogman photo I've seen. And I can read you the report. I've got 2 of them. One I picked from the archives that, like I said, any of your viewers can go check out these archives for free. Just go to the NorthAmericanDogmanProject.com and you can check out the map. But I've got one from Northern California and one from your home country of Canada, out in Alberta.
Let's hear it.
Okay, so let me put on my eyeballs real quick. All right, so this one comes from the Jedediah Smith Redwood State Park in Northern California. It was in December 2nd, 2017 at 11:36 a.m. And it's to Dave, not Dave Scott, but Dave Jones, one of the co-founders of the North American Dogman Project. It says, I was walking in the Jedediah Smith Redwood State Park in the Stout Memorial Grove. It is approximately 1 mile in circumference. I was going to go to the left and circle around, but there was 2 young guys that started to walk off trail to a big tree, so I went to the right. 50 feet down the trail, I heard a loud roar mixed with 2 screams. Then dead quiet. I thought it was 2 guys messing around, but I didn't hear any laughter after it. The hairs on my arm stood up, wondering what it was. It sounded very much like the sound on your website, only with screams in it. I turned around immediately to leave because it was getting late around 1840 and the sun was starting to set. About 20 feet back down the trail, I noticed a black figure standing about 120 feet from where the 2 young guys were standing earlier. At first, I thought it was a bear standing up, but it was about 7 feet tall and backlit by the sun. The face was partially obscured by a branch, and it was too far away to smell. I took 2 quick pictures of it, and I left. I didn't realize what I had photographed until later on when I reviewed the photos. And the photos I sent you.
Yeah, those photos are incredible. I'm trying to bring them up here.
Yeah,
So
no worries.
just bear with me. It's hard for our radio audience to see photos, but to describe what we are seeing here, we are seeing these photographs of what looks to be a dogman creature standing on 2 legs. I mean, for a lot of people, Shane, they will say that it almost looks too perfect. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? That it
exactly.
almost looks fake, like somebody put a cardboard cutout of these creatures. And I apologize for our YouTube audience. That's about as big as I can get them at this time. But I mean, Shane, I mean, when you look at something like this, what is going through your mind? I mean, there's a little bit of a further back, like this thing is deep in the woods, watching
Yes.
who's never on a path.
Yeah, no, exactly. And these photos, if I know for the viewers, they can't probably see it up close, but you can zoom in. And like I said, these photos were sent to an expert. They analyzed the photos and they showed that they weren't tampered with. I mean, we get a lot of photos of pareidolia in the Dogman and Bigfoot communities. This one clearly didn't have red circles around it. I mean, like I said, I'm not one to judge people on their photographs because I wasn't there, but I do look for evidence like this, and you can clearly see a figure in the photo. The person, what happened was they were in California when Dev Rooney interviewed the guy over the phone. She said that he was just out there hiking. He was on his way home from a concert or a Star Wars convention from, I think, San Diego, and he was from Washington. He was just stopped by to, hey, the Jedediah National Park looks very beautiful. It's on the way home, and just went for a hike. And that's the photo that he snapped. And you can clearly see that the figure's walking away. You can see the shoulders on it, the ears on it. It looks like it's just, you can see it's walking into the brush. And to me, it's the best Dogman photo that I think that the Dogman community has right now.
The one thing that I like about it is the fact that a lot of times when people say I got that great photo, and they send it to you, and they've zoomed in so far, it's so pixelated. It looks like you're looking at that could be anything, a black bear, a beaver, a porcupine, whatever it may be. But this is very clear. And the other thing that stands out for me on this photo is the fact that how black the fur is. Like, this is not just your ordinary black bear or even Sasquatch for that matter. This thing, it looks jet black, like something that if it was standing in front of you 10 feet away in the middle of the night on a moonless night, you're not going to see this.
Exactly. And that's the thing with these creatures, that's one thing that gets me is, am I a believer in Dogmen? I believe that they do exist. Have I ever personally seen one? No, but I almost want to see one just to prove their existence. And this photo to me is the best evidence that we have of a Dogman creature. And there's been other reported sightings in the area that haven't been sent to the NADP, but we've got this one right here that to me, it's the staple. It's almost to me. I won't officially dub it, Dave, but to me, it is the Patterson Gimlin footage of what we have as the Dogman in Northern California, just like, Patty was filmed in, 50 years earlier.
No, very, very true. And once again, where was this photo taken?
So this photo was taken in 2017 in the Jedediah National State Park, which is on the border of Northern California and Oregon.
Wow. Okay. So, I mean, looking at that photo it was obviously taken from a trail. Do we know the reasoning as to why the person pointed the camera in that area? Oh, Shane, you froze up on us. You're coming back. You're coming back. There you are.
Did I lose?
Yeah,
you?
we lost you there for a quick second, my man. But we got you back now. I don't know if you heard the question or not as to what I asked.
Sir, I sure didn't. Sorry,
that's okay. That's okay. The question that I asked was, that photo was taken at quite a distance from the trail. Do we know how the person came to the conclusion to point the camera in that direction?
Yes, so they heard the roars. As I was reading the report, it seems like towards the end, it heard a roar, but he thought it was the two kids or the two gentlemen that were off the trail, but he didn't hear laughter. And at about 120 feet from where the two guys were standing earlier, that's where he saw the creature and took out his flip phone or his cell phone device and snapped the photo. And obviously in the photo that you showed, the very first one, you could tell it was from a distance, but as you zoomed in, you can clearly see the figure in it, but it's kind of pixelated. But like I said, it's the best one. You can see an outline of the creature with the shoulders, the bipedal stance, and the ears on it.
Can we guesstimate how big that creature was?
From what the eyewitness said, it was 7 feet tall and backlit by the sun. The face was partially obscured by a branch, and it was too far away to smell. Dogmen have a reported smell of dead meat or like a just wet dog smell to them. It's when you smell that when you're out in the woods, it's almost a sign of dogmen compared to Sasquatch smelling like would you say almost like trash or just like skunk smell. They almost have similar smells to them, but the dogman smell is more distinct because it smells more like a wet dog.
Right. And that's never a fun smell nonetheless.
Right.
Had there been dogmen seen in that area before that photograph was taken?
Not that I'm aware of. I've talked to two people because I've interviewed people here in California on dogmen encounters and just sightings as we just try to, as the phenomenon continues to grow, we just tried to document where these sightings are. And I've had two people tell me that the Jedediah National Park, they've seen, it's a very eerie area that they've seen bipedal canines in the area and a lot of Sasquatch for sure.
Incredible. We got 1 minute to go. What's this one in Canada that you want to tell us about?
Yeah, so you can go to NADP's website and go look. Sorry we didn't have enough time, but Canada's got at least 4 or 5 reports, and the one I wanted to read to you was out there in Alberta, but maybe next week we could read that one.
Yeah, well, I know in my community there have been a number of dogman reports that are starting to come out over the last couple of years. And it's funny because all the dogman sightings seem to be on the eastern side of my town. The west seems to be dominated by Sasquatch. And I really don't want to see one of these. I don't. And the worst part about it is I know it's going to happen. I know
it will. The more you're out in the woods, Dave, especially when you're looking for Bigfoot.
Yeah. I know the area where they are, and Dave drives the opposite direction. Shane Michael Chris for the West Coast Dogman Project. Appreciate you coming on in, my man, and discussing everything with us. It's always great to have you on Spaced Out Radio.
Hey, thanks for having me, Dave. You have a good evening. SOR. Love you guys.
Take care. Shane Michael Chris, everybody. Coming up next, Get off my lawn. It's the Dave 101 and the weird news of the week. We will be right back with the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio coming up right after this. Stay tuned. What does this one say? Well, that's yesterday's. The Saskatoon berry pie.
Yeah, well, the rest of it's all in a pile now, Dave, and I apologize, but I'm
Love
going
it.
to bed.
You go, Dirty Filth. You go. Thank you for staying late with us tonight, buddy.
Well, I appreciate it. Hanging out with you guys, and I had a whole bunch of cartoons. Oh, yes, here's today's. There's the blob and the whiskey.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's fairly accurate because whiskey tends to vomit a lot.
Your cats are dangerous. Yeah, Blob there looks like a Boston Terrier.
She's pretty browdy. Well, she was back in the original days, but bar fight days are over these days. So,
I like Blob. That's a good one. That's a good one. All right, buddy. You have a good night. Right. Okay.
Jump into the chat room. See you later. Bye.
Bye. Dirty Filth, everybody. There he goes. It's like saying goodbye to an old friend. There goes Filth. All right. We have about 4 minutes to decide what are we doing on the Dave 101 for tonight. Let's get your ideas. See if they connect with mine. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? What should we do the Dave 101 on? All right, we got a couple minutes here. Well, I kind of discussed that last week, Tony. Derek, I don't have enough information on the Vatican. Paramarv, hypotheticals. What type of food is in Dave's belly? Dave had a great dinner tonight. Dave had a chicken salad. Kira would be proud. Thank you tonight to Paramarv, W. Decker with a hat trick, Lala, Deb, Shane, Donna, Android, Surf Chair, and James for the super chats. Very much appreciate the love of SOR. Nathan McKinnon is not the best in the NHL. Connor McDavid, all the way, the Doug Shelby. We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you've missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. It is that time of the night where I yell at each and every one of you to get off my lawn. It's the Dave 101.
It's time for Dave 101.
Open up the door, it's Dave. Dave, D-A-V-E. Dave's not here. Dave's the killer. Dave's the killer.
Dave's a mess.
I don't know about any of you out there, but I think I am on official UFO burnout. I'm burnt out. I really am. The bickering, the arguing, the testifying, those who are in the scientific community thinking that they know best for everybody else and that the rest of us should shut the hell up. Those with podcasts, radio shows, YouTube channels, trying to get the latest and greatest news. And yes, people are working hard for that at very minimal amounts, harder than the mainstream media, who doesn't want to touch this topic with a 10-foot pole, but unfortunately are finally being forced to. No, I am tired of listening to the daily beratement, the daily tweets, the daily stories of everything that's going on. And as one man, I can't keep up. I can't keep up. It's difficult. It's difficult to be talking to people because everybody is holding their cards so close to their chest right now. Everybody wants to be the one who breaks that story or has that first intel of what's coming next. You know, it isn't about Sean Kirkpatrick. It isn't about the Pentagon. It's about the whole system. Somehow we got broken. This was a great community that used to feed each other. Sure, there were egos. Sure, they were the same people on the same documentaries, speaking at the same conferences year after year after year. But at least it was continuity we could count on. Now, with everybody and their dog jumping onto the bandwagon of UFOs, trying to make a buck here, a buck there, new YouTube channels popping up on a daily basis with all of these people who think they are experts because they know how to pronounce David Grush's name. It's just unfathomable. It's hard to keep up, and it wears me out. I'll tell you where I gained this new thought form. It was when I was back in the bush with Samantha Mowat, Merle, little Timmy Senor, doing some filming for what might be. And we'll see if that happens. I'm pretty positive it will. Being in the bush, I'm not an investigator. I'm not somebody who's going to beat down doors looking for ghosts. I'm not somebody who is going to be filming the next Patterson Gimlin film. I just love the thought of an encounter and being part of that encounter and letting my eyes gaze upon something strange that I may never see again. That is the rush for me. And being out in the field for those 72 hours where we were filming, it gave me a great sense of relief that just for those 72 hours, I was out of the game and I was looking for what we all want to see. I encourage everybody to take a break from this new UFO reality. It's heartless, it's thoughtless, it's cruel, it's demeaning, it's full of BS and full of great news all at the same time. The problem is having to sift through that is like trying to find a needle in a haystack on who you trust, who you don't trust, who's got the better sources, who doesn't, whose channels are being hit with copyright infringements, demonetized. Whatever is happening, and it's coming down to it. No, this is what I suggest for all of you right now. Step away from your phones and your computers and go out in the forest. Even if you're not having, maybe you don't have a forest, but maybe you have a park around where you can put a blanket on the ground and just stare up at the stars. The frustration is going to continue for years to come as we move closer to confirmation than disclosure. There's too much danger in disclosure. We are seeing this right now. David Grush said in his last hearing, and this is something I can't get out of my mind, is that people have lost their lives and have been injured and threatened to the point where they go silent because some government agent or agency doesn't want them to talk. This is the reality we live in with UFOs now. We live in a point where we're not allowed to believe anybody. We're not allowed to believe anecdotal stories because there's no proof behind them. We're not allowed to believe the scientists because they're probably working for an alphabet agency or a military branch, and that's where their information goes. We're not allowed to believe the reporting of great journalists who have done it for 30, 40 years, but the minute they turn into reporting on UFOs, they're a bunch of lushes who don't know how to cover a story. That one makes me laugh. The armchair quarterbacks out there who absolutely want to rip apart everybody else in ufology because nobody knows more than them. Yes, take a break from ufology right now. It is heavy, it is ugly, and it's not very fun. With the amount of people who are actually getting paid to do this, and I'm talking real money. I'm not talking a few super chats at night. I'm not talking $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month. I'm talking people who have careers covering this story, making tens of thousands of dollars a year over it. Maybe even up to 100,000 or more. Those people don't want us around. They don't want YouTube channels like mine or radio shows like mine around because we're a pain in their butts. We're the people who won't drop the story and let them do what they need to do. Yeah. There are people out there who are telling others, don't believe this person because I heard ABC. And the other person's like, well, I heard DEF. What is going on? Yes, the drama is real. I mean, this is getting worse than any of those housewives of Hollywood television shows, or the Beverly Hills, or New York, or New Jersey, or Connecticut, or wherever you want. The Vancouver one was pretty damn brutal too. No, this is more than jealousy. It's more than figuring out what color Ferrari to buy. People are being attacked. People are being ruined by this subject. David Grush said it all. Imagine the fact that the biggest country in the world, the strongest country in the world, The most powerful country in the world is doing things to its own people over UFOs that we would think that only North Korea, China, Russia, Iran, and any other third world country under a dictatorship would actually treat its citizens. UFOs, how ugly is it? And like I've said to you before, and I will say it again, if the media were to ever wake up and realize that UFOs is the biggest story to bring elected officials versus military officials in a real true battle of the military industrial complex, you're seeing it right now. Many won't believe with me. Maybe even many higher ups will say, Dave, you are full of it. That's not it at all. You are missing the point. I'm just going by what I see. That's a story. Not just because I've seen it, but that the evidence is there. If somebody has been killed by the government over UFOs, that needs to come out. If somebody has been hurt, threatened because of UFOs, that deserves to come out. You take David Grush, no, not David Grush. I'm going to explain something to you here, and you may not agree with me, and I'm perfectly fine with that. The majority of people in ufology do not believe the Bob Lazar story. How his college degrees seem to have disappeared. Where he worked seemed to have disappeared. Nobody at Area 51 ever recalls him being there. It was like he was either making up the story or he has been erased. Yet we saw that erasure happen to Lou Elizondo just a couple of years ago, where the Pentagon was caught erasing emails that had Elizondo's name, title, position, and everything on them. So they're used to erasing people. Now we hear of the harassment that David Grush and his wife are taking because of his whistleblowing on UFOs. First off, what does his wife have to do with this? She's an innocent party. He was the one who served. He was the one who took the position. If you got an issue, take it out on him. The wife and kids should be off matter. But we realize the fact that in order to hurt somebody, sometimes you have to hurt the people around them. Give them a little bit of a sting just in case. Right? That's the way it's done. There's no pride in that. Nothing. But when you look at the entire phenomena and the way everything is playing out, it really goes to show you the great divide that is happening right from the top in Washington, D.C. to the podcasts and the lowest form of YouTube channels that have maybe 10, 20 listeners a night. It's affecting us all. And sometimes you need a break. Sometimes you have to sit back and say, is this all worth it? I'll tell you the story is worth it, but a lot of the crap that goes along with it isn't. That's why I don't engage very much on Twitter. That's why I don't engage very much on social media, because it's just tiresome. It's very tiresome to the point where I don't even know where to turn sometimes, and I'm in the middle of it. This is why I recommend, if you want to know the real truth of what it's like, go for it yourself. Go outside. Go into the forest. Look for Bigfoot. Okay? Go outside, look at the stars. Maybe you'll see a UFO. Talk to it. Put your best intentions out to the sky and pretend you're shooting those intentions 1 billion miles into the sky, and that light of those intentions is so darn bright that anything flying by can pick up your signal. By the way, that's the secret to CE5, just so you know. And you didn't have to pay $3,500 for that. Not even $1. Well, maybe join the SOR Space Travelers Club, and that would be worth it too. No, I'm serious. If you want to know how to connect with UFOs, guess what? Put your intentions out there. Send those intentions way up into the universe. And you continue to do it until your signal gets picked up. That's how it's done. There's CE5 for you. See how much money I just saved you? Okay? Same with Bigfoot. You don't need to be buying thousands of dollars worth of gear, bulletproof vests, carrying around machetes. Okay? You don't need to do that. All you need to do is go out in the forest. If you're lucky enough to have a fire, build yourself a little fire, roast some hot dogs, allow the kids to play in the dirt, have a good laugh like children do. All right? And allow them to come to you. Us amateurs, that's what we do. The pros that are out there, okay, they do it a little bit different because they have their own hotspots. They've found those hotspots. Okay? For me, I try to bring them in, lure them to us. I do everything the same. When it comes to ghosts, everywhere is haunted. You don't have to pay for a tour. You don't have to pay for anything. You don't have to buy thousands of dollars worth of fake technology and phone applications that are already pre-programmed with voices and codes. You don't need to do that. Just ask. And maybe you'll get a spirit give you the communication that you need. Do it yourself, people. It's not that hard. And it's a lot more fun than dealing with the BS of each and every day. That is your Dave 101. Now it's time for Shirky Poo's News.
What time is it?
It's time for Shirky Poo's News!
All right, here we go, everybody. See the strangeness. I don't know if you heard this story. A zoo in eastern China is having to deny suggestions that some of its sun bears might be people in costumes after photos of the animals standing like humans circulated online. The bears from Malaysia are smaller than other bears and look different, but they are the real thing, the Hangzhou Zoo said this past week on social media. Some people think I stand like a person, said the post, written from the bear's point of view. It seems you don't understand me very well. An employee who answered the phone at the zoo declined to talk about the bears, but said visitors and visits were being arranged for reporters to see them for themselves. Internet users questioned whether the zoo's bears were really real after photos circulated showing one of the bears standing upright on a slender hind legs. Because of the way they stand, some people online question whether they're humans in disguise. Sun bears are the size of a large dog, standing at about 50 inches tall and on their hind legs compared to up to 9 feet for grizzlies or other species of bear. Other Chinese zoos have been accused of trying to pass off dogs dyed to look like wolves or African cats, donkeys painted to look like zebras. Yeah, that's the Chinese for you. You know, let's go. Let's take the next one. A Japanese man, by the way, I don't know if you've seen this. How is this guy not in the hospital? I don't get it. Japanese man who's always wanted to live a dog's life just made leaps and bounds. In 2022, Toko-san paid a company 2 million yen, or about 20 grand, to create a unique lifelike costume of a collie dog that he could don on a regular basis. At the time, he chose the breed because it looks real when he puts it on. It took Zeppet, a company that makes costumes for TV commercials, about 40 days to create. Toko has shared his canine adventures on his YouTube channel, which has more than 39,000 subscribers already, including rolling on a floor and playing fetch. But it's his latest video that has received the most attention. Footage from the 5-minute video shows Toko in a busy park and street in Japan, his first outing in the collie costume amongst people and other dogs. Do you remember the dreams when you were little? You wanted to be a hero or wizard. He wrote the clip describing his life. Dog is the dream for me. seemed unrealistic. I remember writing in my grade school graduation book that I wanted to be a dog and walk outside. He also posted a clip on Twitter with the caption, I turned into a dog to be a dog so I could walk outside and around the town. Passers-by were fascinated by the real-looking pooch. However, it was Taco's unrealistic waving that may have gotten him some double takes. Yeah. I have thoughts about that. I don't think that's healthy. Really don't, but to each their own. He's allowed. He's allowed to do and be whoever he wants to be. The beauty of freedom and humanity. Well, if you're going to do something stupid and illegal, at least have the forethought of not doing it in front of the police station. A 19-year-old man from Columbus, Georgia, was arrested for allegedly doing donuts in his vehicle in front of the cop shop. He had a video posted by Columbus, Georgia Police Department's Facebook page. Surveillance footage depicting a vehicle doing the dangerous driving stunt in front of police headquarters. The vehicle was allegedly driven by 19-year-old James Brian Brown, one of the few who were involved. We have received numerous complaints from concerned citizens regarding various car clubs participating in reckless stunt driving, speed racing, and drag racing, police said in the post. These activities have been taking place in privately owned as well as publicly operated parks throughout Columbus. Cops noted that while such automotive displays may seem enthusiastic, reckless driving and reckless stunt driving can be severe and have severe consequences for both parties and bystanders. Brown was charged with 2 counts of reckless stunt driving. Yeah, he's going to lose his license for a little bit. He really will. What's with people? Go out in the forest. Look for Bigfoot. Look for some UFOs. Much more sane than the way many are acting these days, even if they are dressing up like sun bears in Chinese zoos. Yeah, that's your news. Thank you to Shane Michael Chris for the Crypted Report. Thank you to Mike Ricksecker for a wonderful, wonderful show defining time travel for us tonight. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the blue train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we got room for them too. Good night. So I posted a little, you see Bill Cardwell's name right here? Yeah. Bill Cardwell is the inventor of the password. Yeah. There's a little SOR history. Yeah. Bill Cardwell used to be the original setter of the password before the Desert Clam. It's true. It's emotional to see Bill here tonight. Yes. Used to be Bill Cardwell sets the password. The SOR Space Travelers Club for tonight. CeeLo, how you doing? My brother Eugene, what is happening, my beautiful friend? Love you, my man. Hope you're doing well. Well, there you go, Bill Cardwell. You need to join our chat room a little bit more. How about that? Will that work? Man, it's good to see you, Billy. Been too long. I hope your back is doing better, my man. Hey, Parker, how are you? Yeah, I don't know why it looks blue. It's weird. Probably from reflection of the snow. I don't know why it's looking blue there. She's a red one. Thanks, Peppa H. By the way, just to put a bug in your ear, we are getting closer to actually setting up the SOR Space Travelers Club on Patreon. And we've got the tiers set. And with the tiers being set, there. With the tiers being set, we're just trying to figure out what more we can add. So, we're going to unveil that here probably within the next week or two. You'll even have a chance, depending on the tier that you choose, you'll even have a chance to host, to join the round table. Yeah. I think that's it. Right there. Better make sure. Right now in Amazon, on Amazon. There we go. Peter Panda, what's happening, my man? Yeah, it's going to be pretty cool. What would you guys like to see? Realistically, what would you like to see in the Space Travelers Club? Now, I do want to excuse me. I do want to preface that it's really hard to do a lot of private videos, okay, just because of our scheduling and the way that we interact with you guys on a nightly basis. So, my question to you guys is, what would you like to see in the Space Travelers Club? What would make it worth it for you? Besides rocket rentals, because that'll be kind of expensive. That is a great idea, Derek Galloway. What do you mean by custom B-roll conversations, Robbie? Our info somehow. Make a list. Oh, we got some really cool swag stuff coming. Yeah, that's part of the problem, Rob, is video. As great as video is, the worst part about video is how much time it eats up. Okay? That's the worst part about video. And especially if you don't know how to edit or use Adobe or whatever, it is brutal. It's a brutal amount of time. I can edit. I'm not a good editor at all. In fact, I'm horrible. Okay. I have no problem in stating that fact. Where did 5 go? WTF? Where did 5 go? Open. Where the hell did that go? Oh, that is weird. So weird. Now I got to do this again. Hold on. I cut 5. I gotta... Oob to Joe's Maine. Bill Cardwell was just here. Ooh, you've got Bill Cardwell's. No, James, I'm editing audio. I'm not editing video. Editing audio is, you got to realize I've done that for 20 plus years. I could cut audio like anything, you know. That's the easy part. Did I skip number 4? Is that what I did? Oh my gosh. I gotta check this all out here. 1 second, guys. Because if I don't get this right, then I am in big trouble. Okay, so bear with me.
And there's my online learning portal, Connected Universe portal.
Everybody, when we return, Steve Stockton is here with a great spooky story. Then Shane Michael Crisp is back with the Crypted Report. It's Dave 101 night and the strange news of the weeks. Hour 3 is next. So these ones are actually number 5s. Okay, so let's resave this. See, this is why we check. All right, so let's get rid of these two. And this is going to be... Just give me 2 seconds here, guys. Like that. So let's just do a little quick test here, just to make sure number 3 is not number 4. And so much more. Are we being visited? Have you visited yourself? Your questions and more with author Mike Ricksecker and his book Travels Through Time, Inside the Fourth Dimension, Time Travel. In the SOR Space Channel. All of our archives are free. Please join us at youtube.com/spaced out radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for. Good. There we go. It's number 4 we forgot. So that should be right around here. Copy. Paste. All right. I think we're on track now. I talked to Dr. Michael Masters the other day. We had a good time. Oh, cow. Joe and Bill Cardwell back in the chat room. Holy cow. This is old school SOR in here tonight. Old school. Pay Parker. Linda Bolton Howe has never returned my emails. Ever. And I'm not the only one. So the chances of that happening are slim to none. Yeah, we're gonna get Doc out to Reno. I might be going to see him in September. There, that should be good. Yes, it is. Nice. All right. I had more than 20 when you guys started, Joe. I had like 25. Now look at us, man. Wow. No, Peter, I have to when I'm editing, I have to cut out any swear words. And like when we come out of breaks and everything, I got to chop those down into segments for our radio stations. I think we topped out at 226 or so tonight. Okay, so I'm going to be writing some of this stuff down here. What would you guys like to see in a Space Travelers Club? What would make you join? So right now we have different tiers, different financial tiers. I don't know who my oldest viewer is. I really don't, Derek. Tim, I have a little. So right up here on my screen, you can't see it, but it gives me a count of who's watching live or how many. Dave Scott is not El Ovni Volador. High Sensational Sherry. I'll ask him though. Custom emojis. I don't know how to do those. Like, would you guys want to see like pre-scheduling? Would you like to see like who's been booked? Tate Franz. What's the general consensus in the UFO community on the leaked alien interrogation video from way back? Oh, that's one dude I want to believe. I really do want to believe that. It looks real. But behind the scene, and I like that idea, Robbie G. I'm just trying to think like how I could do that. Hmm. But you see, the thing is, Sherry, you can listen to the replays for free. See, what a lot of the hosts do, okay, is they part of their way of buttering you up for their money is they don't give away their archives for free like I do. And the reason why I give the archives for free is because I I don't um I remember being a very poor college student, okay, who would be coming home from school late at night, okay, and I would be um how can I put it? I would be um I say I would miss a segment of the show, like when Art Bell was hosting. I'd miss a segment of the show that I really wanted to hear, but I never had a credit card at the time, and I never wanted to, you know, I couldn't afford to pay to hear that segment. And there were so many segments like that, whether it was on UFOs or ghosts or Mel's Hole or whatever it may be. And for a starving student, that $7-8 American a month, that was a day's full of meals for me at that point. So the issue that I'm trying to figure out is that's why, like with Spaced Out Radio, I've always wanted to keep the archives free because I know there's people out there who would love to listen to them but can't afford it. You know, so I that's why I want to do this by making sure you guys got quality stuff, okay, without having to tax you guys on getting a bunch of bullshit either, right? Dude, James Weston, you have no idea how many cheeseburgers I ate from McDonald's because at that point they were only 99 cents. Maybe what we could do is a pre-show, like when I'm in studio getting ready for the show, we could have a pre-show chat and then I could bring the guest in a little bit earlier. What do you think of that? Yeah, but we could do that live for the space travelers. Okay, so if I did that, I'll write that down. Live pre-show. What else would you guys like to see in the Space Travelers Club? Um, that go Rob. The people are getting that with their purchases. Hmm. See, the thing with like bringing on like Tim or Marquise or Jessica or myself, the issue with that is we're already so open to you guys. Not that that's an issue, but um, yeah, we could try a Dirty Filth art raffle per month. I'm sure he'd love to do that. Good idea. Those are two great selections right there. Live pre-show, Dirty Filth raffle. Good night, Bill Cardwell. Hope you saw that. Mm-hmm. That's done. 24/7 chat room. The issue with that, Tony, and that's why a lot of people have said, well, why not put a Discord chat together? um, the issue that I have with that is I don't trust Discord. And I don't see how, uh, the other thing too is that would mean that we would have to have the chat room monitored 24/7. And yeah, the forum on the website we could put up. I just don't want to be responsible for somebody. You get those idiots out there who will start saying some pretty graphic and horrible and potentially racist type stuff. And I don't like the fact, this is what I hate about Discord. Um, and you don't have control over it. I mean, you do, but you know, I know other people who've had that happen in their discords, and it really caused a lot of commotion and really put a damper on the host's reputation. But if those mods aren't awake at all hours of the night or paying attention, that's where it gets a little ugly. Why would we want a YouTube that associated with SOR? Hi, Adventures with Beth. How are you? Well, let me think about this because a couple good ideas there. I got to get to bed because I got to get to work in the morning. But But if you have any ideas, bring them tomorrow night, and we will see where it goes. So thank you to our super chatters tonight: Paramarv, Hatrick for W Decker, Android, Surf Jared, James, Donna, Lala, Deb, and Shane. Very much appreciate the love, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
You need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.